All right, I thought we were going to have an intro here, but I guess we're getting right on into it. Welcome back, everybody, to the ASL. It's time for the semifinals. My goodness, what year is it, Xun? It feels like it's been forever since we casted last, but it's only been 2 weeks, guys.
Yeah, it's not been that long at all, but it certainly feels like a long time to me. It's kind of strange like that, I guess. If you're not doing it week to week, it kind of does feel like it slips out of your brain a bit. I had to go back and look at the groups and kind of recap myself a little bit on exactly what's happened this tournament.
Yeah, I definitely want to go back and take a look at Barracks versus Mini, which happened last week. That TVP was fantastic, and here he is once again in another TVP matchup. Arguably a much more difficult one, though, going up against Snow. He pulled off a miracle in the round of 8. Can he do it again here in the round of 4?
Yeah, like, I'm just going to talk a little bit about both players because Barracks, he's had such an epic run this season of the ASL. He beat out Royal twice in the round of 24, then pushed out Sulky of all people down to that losers match, and he got out of his group first by defeating Rush in that winners match. And even though Effort was the guy to knock Sulky out eventually, Barracks put him in that position to begin with. And Barracks, he then beat out Mini in the round of 8 with that 4-3 victory, clutching out a win of that Proxy 2-Rex in the final hour. He's come such a long way as a gamer, saying he's been grinding like a madman for so many years now in the shadow of other Terrans like Flash back in the day, and is essentially now the poster boy for hard work and perseverance, paying off eventually as long as you stick with it. Barracks has got some of the best Terran mechanics in the world, and basically was mainly held back by his TVP and decision-making ability, both of which have been greatly improved this last year or two. He is still the underdog against the likes of Snow, but I'm rating his chances higher than perhaps some of you at home are thinking that this is going to be a bit of a foot-clapping smackdown by Snow. I don't think it's quite going to be like that this time around. Meanwhile, in the opposing corner, Snow, he had a round of 16 seeds, so he avoided most of that crazy drama of the round of 24, but he beat both Sharp and Mini in pretty convincing fashion to get out of his group first, and he's going to be looking to secure a very lovely round of 16 seed once now that he's in the semifinals. So he's done the hard work. This is the main thing: is getting into the semifinals, getting a seed, so it makes your future runs just all the more smoother. So he's already done that, but he's looking now to cut Barracks' first visit into the semifinals short. But I'm very proud of Barracks for getting here. This is his first ever time in being in the semifinals in ASL. And despite my head and money being with Snow, my heart is certainly going to be with Barracks for this game, and I'm going to be rooting for that underdog.
Yeah, quite the run this season for Barracks. We saw him go to tears in the round of 8 after winning over Mini. He was so proud of his achievement, how far he's come. Since that match, we got a lot of information about what's been going on behind the scenes. We found out that Barracks has been getting a lot of advice and practice with Flash, helping him out. Being that he's the last Terran player, you kind of expect it. Every Terran player out there is going to be giving him their 2 cents and, trying to help him keep the race alive here in the ASL.
Yeah, I mean, in previous ASL, Snow was flipping Barracks upside down and shaking the lunch money out of his pockets with his abuse of Reavers and what have you. This time around, I think he's going to have a slightly bigger challenge to overcome. Barracks, like you said, has had such a huge amount of help from the likes of Flash in his preparation, his build orders, decision-making, among other Terrans. He's going to have a lot more help behind him than he did previously, and a higher skill level to boot. This could be a very epic series.
Yeah, I would be absolutely blown away if Barracks finds some way to make this upset a reality. Personally, I'm such a big fan of Snow. I feel like the way has kind of been cleared for him. Everything's been lined up so perfectly, with Sulky being knocked out of the picture, and then you've got a TVP match going into the semifinals. Like, it couldn't be better here for Snow. I think that he should be able to go forward.
I think you're right. I think that on paper, everyone's going to be looking at this and thinking this should be a Snow victory. But the reality is, anything can happen in games of StarCraft. And, maybe Snow has a bit of an off day. He's not quite playing at 100% of his power level. And Barracks really does show up with crazy good preparation and execution, unlike we've ever seen before. It's certainly possible that Barracks takes it down here today. We're getting a shot of him on screen now, joining us on stage. I certainly will be rooting for Barracks, though you're completely right. This is likely to be a Snow victory. I just think that Barracks has more of a chance than ever. He's improved so much.
I definitely agree with you there, Xun. He's improved by leaps and bounds, but Snow has been on top for such a long time in this matchup. It's hard to imagine him losing against a Terran right now. He is just such a monster.
Yeah, no, Snow has been really coming into his own lately, and likewise has been improving himself. One of the things holding him back was that Protoss versus Zerg matchup, and he's not really had that much. And he's looking to maybe get finally a gold star in his chest and get that championship title at long last. He certainly has a good run of it. Soulkey being out of the picture now. I think as long as Snow keeps his head in the game and doesn't choke in these final stages, he's very likely going to be not only a finalist, but probably getting crowned champion.
Yeah, we've got the announcers here on the stage now, lightening up the crowd and the players, giving them an opportunity to do some last-minute smack talking, give their opinions on how the series is going to go, and we're going to be getting into this best of 7 here very soon. It's a lot of games, and it's not something that Barracks is super used to, right? He's not played here in the round of 4 very often. And Snow, I mean, he's got so much experience. That has to be a massive factor. Just how many times he's been on this stage. He's been in the semifinals. If Snow goes out here, he's not going to be satisfied. I think Barracks has already done what he wanted to achieve, hit that round of 16 spot and making it this far. But Snow, he's just getting started.
I mean, Barracks done the heavy lifting. He's got the seed into the next tournament, into that round of 16. So even if he doesn't do super well in this tournament, he might be lined up to do well in the next ASL. So I would say the hard part is over for Barracks, and in a way, a lot of that pressure will be off of his shoulders. I'm in a way imagining that Barracks will not be as stressed about this. You can see he's laughing over now. I actually kind of feel like Barracks might be a lot more stress-free than you guys are imagining. I think getting through to the semifinals at long last actually took a lot of pressure off of him, and maybe that will help him play his best now, because he's kind of set out to do what he already achieved what he set out to do. He's got that seed into the next tournament, and he's accomplished something he's never done before, getting into this round of 4 situation. Meanwhile, on the other side of the stage, Snow, he completely smacked down Effort in a 4-1 victory. Although that game 1 on Screaming Sea looked amazing from Effort, but he completely outplayed and outmaneuvered and got inside of Effort's head in those future games, showing his PvZ forte now, really coming into his own, and certainly not going to be something that holds him back anymore. In previous times, that PvZ matchup really did hold Snow back, but that doesn't seem to be the case anymore.
No, he's here in his comfort zone as well, going up against a player he's beaten down badly in the past. The only record between these two in the ASL is that 4-1 from previous seasons. And so he is going to be in his comfort zone here, but the pressure of being the clear favorite, is that going to get into his head? Because like you said, Barracks is the underdog right now. He shouldn't be feeling that much pressure. Maybe Snow's feeling like he absolutely should not lose this. Right. And if he starts to lose, that could really get into his head.
Yeah, if Barracks has a strong start and takes 2 of the first 3 games, for example, that could really shake up this series. Snow, if he starts to doubt his abilities, might just fall apart. Kind of needs to go his way.
I think as long as he relies and sticks to his guns, that Reaver control and just the keep away style of Snow is so hard to beat. He just will not let you push out without taking damage. He always looks for opportunities to utilize those Reavers, and he's so good at dodging tank fire. We'll see, man. I mean, Barracks was showing some very good, strong pushes against Mini, able to get some pretty incredible snipes on tanks from the backline, and he actually went deep into that on his stream after the fact, talking about how he was sieging up behind the front line, making sure that he had tanks in range so that he could take some pot shots at the Reavers. Yeah, and he went through his games from that series versus Mini, and it was pretty incredible, the kind of innovation that he's bringing to those Terran pushes and ways that he's actually getting around the power that has brought Snow so much victory in the past.
Well, he has the mechanics and almost the execution as Flash used to have way back when he started in the scene. He's not quite at that level yet, but he certainly could get there if he keeps training as hard as he has been. This guy is definitely a monster in the making. If he keeps persevering and keeping up the hard work like he has been, it's certainly possible he could end up being one of the best Terrans of all time. It just might take him another year or two to get there.
Yeah, that's what we're expecting, guys. We're expecting a Snow victory, but man, would it be amazing to have an upset here. It would be incredible to see this final Terran player keep the hopes alive for that Terran race. They've all but been eliminated here in ASL 20, and Barracks is the last hope. I'm not sure if he can do it. I'm doubting him already, but I think that the sentiment is felt around the world. Like, we saw those the online survey here earlier, guys, like something like 70% of people
I think so,
think that Snow's going to take this home. So if he's able to upset that expectation, it would be so hype.
Oh, absolutely. And that's kind of the reason why I'm rooting for him as an underdog. It would just be so exciting for him to showcase his improvement. And this was the matchup he had the most struggle with previously. And this is Snow's best matchup by far. So for him to defeat Snow in a best of 7 would be kind of nutty, and would like to see it. It'd be very exciting indeed. We'd just like to point out as well that Barracks hasn't had a lot of best of 7 experience in the ASL. You were talking a little bit about it. He hasn't gone this super deep, and back in the day they had best of 5s in the round of 8. So yeah, he didn't get much preparation in the ASL for these kinds of lengthy series. He has played a lot of best of 7s in tournaments like the SCSL, but those are online tournaments. He has done really well in those, but online just doesn't always translate to offline. We've seen it so many times before. These great ladder players and online tournament players, they show up to these live events and do not play at 100% of their ability.
Yeah, it happens time and time again. Barracks so far has shown great calm on stage. He's been able to make some really difficult decisions, like BBS versus Mini on that final game. It's kind of a crazy risk to take, but it shows a level of kind of clear thinking, calmness that is required for a player to go deep in a tournament such as this. You have to be able to bluff. You have to be able to gamble here and there, even under that high pressure situation.
Yeah, and it translates a lot to how it's like in the poker scene. It's also about that composure and the mental fortitude and not letting things get you when it doesn't go your way. You'll see a lot of guys that they're down like 2 games, or they're down even 3 games, and they still manage to reverse sweep and, you know, take the entire series eventually. But it's a lot of arduous work to get there. You'd be surprised at how much thought process and planning these tournament players actually do. The amount of studying. The only game that they kind of sometimes freestyle is the 7th game in a long series like this. And yeah, even the non-pro European and American players put a lot of effort into their preparation and study of these tournament matches. So no one is preparing harder than these guys are for this matches than anyone else is in the world.
Yeah, these guys are putting in the hours. That is for sure. What a long, hard road it's been this season, Xun. We've had so many great games straight through from the round of 24, the round of 16. Round of 8 was a little bit more one-sided, but you can see there Barracks barely managing to slip by with that final cheese in the last match, that match 7. He's here now to go up against Snow, and I'm sure that Snow had a little smile on his face when he saw Barracks make it through. It was going to be a tough PvP versus Mini, I'm sure, but here he has some serious confidence in going TVP against Barracks, considering their latest or their earlier results.
And honestly, like that series could have gone even better for Barracks against Mini. Like 2 of the games kind of didn't go his way when they could have. I'm not sure if it was Knockout and Dominator are the 2 games I'm thinking about. I think it was Knockout when Mini was in the bottom left, and Dominator when Mini was in the top left. Those 2 games, and Dominator was the game number 6. I feel like, yeah, Barracks could have won that 4-2 or maybe even 4-1 had he, executed properly at those appropriate moments, and just couldn't quite clutch out those games because of maybe micro or execution issues. So who knows, man? Maybe he'll surprise us all today and give us a very good series, even if he doesn't win.
Yeah, that's what we're hoping for. That's what we're always hoping for, guys. A nice long series, a nice close series. We don't want to see another 4-1 here. We want to see this series go all the way and a very tight finisher where the both players are pushed to their absolute limits. That is the essence of the ASL. We want to see the best out of these guys, and may the best man win.
Yeah, you saw a little bit just on the graphics here. The last graphic was the previous series that Barracks played against Snow in the previous ASL. He got absolutely smashed 4-1. I don't necessarily think that will happen here again today, but there's a lot of people at home predicting that. They think Snow is going to absolutely dominate this guy. And while I think that Snow is likely to win, I don't think Barracks is going to be anywhere near as much of a pushover as he was in that previous series they played.
Yeah, that would certainly be disappointing if it went that way. But I think with Flash whispering in his ear and all the Terrans, lining up behind him, cheering him on, and giving him their advice, there's a pretty good chance that Barracks can at least take us deep in this series. I'm not sure about his chances of winning here. I'm a pretty big believer in Snow, and his play definitely backs that up. Gives you good reasons to doubt Barracks' chances here, but I want to see a great series, and I bet he has been given so much attention by these other Terrans.
I'm even getting like a few nerd chills just thinking about what happened in his last series against Mini, like especially on Screaming Sea. That build order he got from Flash was so well executed. This is the weird thing about players like Flash. Like when he was in his dominance, like some of the build orders that Flash did, only Flash could execute. They're that min-maxed and precise that unless you're one of the best Terrans on the planet, you can't even handle doing a build like that. It's similar to you Protoss players at home trying to copy what Snow does with Reavers. It's just not possible. It's impossible to emulate. You're better off copying someone like Best, who's a more macro, orthodox style of Protoss. And that's just the reality of it. But Barracks, he's got that really high optimal level of mechanics that he's almost able to emulate some of the build order executions that Flash can do, and that might help him out a lot here today. If he's got Flash, like you say, whispering in his ear, giving him some great build orders, and he's able to execute and have that high level mechanics just flowing, he could really surprise us today.
Yeah, it's a funny thing about Snow though, right? It's hard to make a build order against this guy. His micro is at such a crazy level. He can get value out of units that no other Protoss player can. And so, a strong push against one player or most Protoss players, like a player like Best, who's just a strong mechanical player, it might just not work against Snow because he's so good at finding the weakness and just exploiting you with his perfect micro, excuse me.
Well, who knows, though? I mean, maybe Barracks has had some help in how to thwart that Reaver control of Snow. If Snow doesn't get away with 20-kill Reavers, then he might have a lot harder time beating out Barracks if he's not able to capitalize on that forte. Maybe Barracks has done a lot of work in learning how to shut down that Reaver ability of Snow in these last 2 weeks. It's a long time to prepare for this game. And it seems like Screaming Sea going to be Snow's pick right off the bat. Not too surprised about that. I'm glad we're getting this game right in the start. It always makes for such a fun series.
Yeah, he'll have definitely seen that match versus Mini on Screaming Sea, and we'll see his adaptations here. Barracks. I'm so curious what he has for this first map. every Terran player in the pro
Yeah.
scene lending him their opinions, giving him their ideas. What kind of mishmash of builds is he going to put together here for this opening game? Such an important part of a best of 7 series, this first game.
I mean, all those Terran players are knocked out of the tournament saying they have to live vicariously through Barracks now. It's their only way to even have an impact on the scene. So, yeah, being the only Terran kind of is an advantage because it means you're going to have people lining up outside your door waiting to chime in with ways of playing or their pocket builds they never got to actually use because they are now out of the tournament and what have you. And you got the expertise of Flash as well. Flash has kind of fallen by the wayside a little bit because he's not able to execute and practice quite as much because of the wrist injuries, but he's certainly a wealth of information to pour out to you mentally and to give you confidence in yourself as well. So that could play a massive factor here today. Both players are ready, guys. So we're going to be jumping straight into the action. The ASL Season 20 semifinals match between Barracks and Snow. Game number 1, Screaming Sea. Let's get it started.
Barracks down in bottom left. Snow over here top right. Yeah, that's I want to kind of elaborate on what you were just saying, is that this map, Screaming Sea, probably not going to be in the next season of ASL. And a lot of players, a lot of Terrans out there probably came up with some pretty interesting stuff for this map to try and use in the tournament. I'm sure that somebody's got a sneaky build for this map that they've come up with that Barracks could pull out. And they're definitely going to... Like, you're not going to share your build for Radeon, or you're not going to share your build for Polestar, some of these maps that are probably going to be in next season because you might want to use it. But here, that's not a factor. They can give out all their best builds. This map is going away, guys. This will be one of our last times watching a TVP on Screaming Sea.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes they'll even give out builds that they could use just because they want to be the guy to be like, oh, I gave him that build. That's why he won, because of me. And, you know, you see a lot of that as well. People wanting to take credit because they helped you win, right? So sometimes they'll still give you builds, even if it's on maps that will be around next season.
That's a good point. A lot of these guys are good friends as well. And so, you know, oftentimes trying to help each other out. Tight-knit community over there in Korea for Brood War. And look at this. Nexus first from Snow. Pretty typical, pretty common on this map to go Nexus first. But Snow going to do it now with some confidence. And going to send this probe in a unique scouting pattern. Wants to make sure that there's no sort of proxy over here at 12 o'clock first.
Yeah, I mean, 12 Nexus is pretty common on this map, so it makes sense to check for like a BBS or something right now. Like the one thing that really crushes Snow is like a proxy factory or a BBS, so you just want to make sure that that's not actually happening, and then you'll be all right.
Yeah, he's gonna get in here now and spot the build. Let's see, Barracks, the timing on that factory. Pretty normal timing here at 229. And so with the length of this map, so hard to put on any pressure here, even against the 12 Nexus.
Yeah, you can't really do anything. I mean, I guess it's technically possible he could try and build a second factory out by like 9 o'clock or something and try and do a weird 2-fact build, but it just doesn't make much sense to do that. He's probably just going to play a pretty orthodox game and take the slight economic deficit here.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot you can do. I guess he's going to get in here and at least see what's going on, but as soon as he sees there's a gateway here, I mean, even like a lot of time we talk about how it's kind of unsafe to do one gate after 12 Nexus, but on just because of the distance on this map. It's actually super safe.
Yeah, yeah. It's like even on Eclipse, it's like forced cross spawn, so it's like a few extra seconds to get there. And this is like Eclipse in that it's a forced cross spawn 1v1 map, but you've got this massive L-shaped run distance to get there. It's like playing cross map Radiant, but even worse. It's just an absolute age and a half to get across the map. And means that players sometimes will under-defend as well. It can be a double-edged sword, like on Knockout with the Trench. It kind of makes you sometimes think you're safer than you are. So you can see Snow being very super serious here, and he's actually going to be walling off the natural to make sure there's no chance of anything like a Vulture sneaking in.
Yeah, it's a smart play. He could have maybe been even greedier with this, you know, not made the early Zealot, just gone directly to Dragoon or what have you, to try and get an even bigger advantage here. But like, there's no way to get in with this Vulture, and he just kind of has to eat the difference. He's going to make mines. He's sending out a SCV right now. Is he going to take a super quick third Vulture expand? Like mine expand?
Might be.
Oh,
might be, yeah.
there it is.
Oh, jeez. This is crazy. I mean, I kind of like it. Like, with good execution, this can work, right? Like, this actually has chance of really paying off at Barracks. He's just going to have to be super on top of his execution because, you know, eventually Snow will come out with this Reaver and put on the pressure, and he needs to be ready by then, man. He cannot afford to get picked apart in multiple locations. Having a fast third like this is great, economically speaking, but also means you've got a third location to defend against the Reaver harass. Can get complicated.
Yeah, and you know, this is kind of a Sharp-esque build. I think about Sharp whenever I see this build. It's not totally unorthodox, but it is a little bit strange. Like, you kind of have to hope that Snow doesn't figure out about this right away, right? If he sits here and just builds Dragoons and gets into his Reaver, he plays normally, then Barracks could get very far ahead if he defends perfectly. But if Snow knows about this right away and just comes, like, just tries to run through the mines, like send the Zealot out, eat the mines, you know, kind of run through, maybe even juggle Dragoon to clear the mines or something like that, and puts on the pressure right away. Oh my gosh, he's getting a Stargate. Okay.
Yeah, he's in Carrier. Yeah, it's going to be Reaver into Carrier, and he was worried about a Vulture drop. So he had his Dragoon sitting back, so got a free kill on a Pylon, but all these SCVs die. He's about to spot them with the shuttle and go for it now.
You know, he's got nothing in here.
Oh, he's got nothing in it just yet. My bad. Oh my gosh, like, Barracks is actually getting away with murder right now. Like, there's a way that Barracks completely smashes Snow because of having this third base with extra production. Like, yeah, there's a chance that he just rolls over Snow if Snow doesn't, like, put the pressure on to Barracks soon.
Well, he is going to come out here, try to put on some pressure. Does Barracks have the setup back at home to hold this off? He's just now getting the engineering base. Got 2 tanks and a bunker drop here on the island. Snow going to take the island while putting on the pressure. If he can drive Barracks back, maybe force a lift or force the SCVs off the line, something. He's got to do something right now. He's falling pretty far behind in terms of the economy. He could go around this, by the way. He can go over to the left-hand side, try to hit this from the back.
Yeah, he is.
Force the unsiege. Maybe even go into the main? Wait,
yeah,
if
he goes to the main and run by.
Oh my gosh, if he starts unloading in the main, oh, this is going to get really nasty for Barracks, actually. I think he might just die.
Maybe. I mean, yeah, he's going to elevator into the main. I don't think that Barracks has calculated this in his game plan, unfortunately. And he's going to elevator into the main, then 4 Dragoons are going to hit the third base as well while distracting Barracks. He's pulling all of his forces back. There's just 1 siege tank that gets picked off. There is a bunker there to help out a little bit, but the SCV is still at risk of dying, and this is suboptimal to say the least. Snow having a little bit of a hard time controlling on both fronts. Barracks doing a good job of thwarting the attack in the main base, but he is losing SCVs in the third.
Yeah, he's losing a bunch of SCVs here. He's being driven back a little bit. Looks like those 2 Dragoons, at least in the main base, get killed, but he's moving into carriers. He's got the expansion going as well. This is beautiful. Snow has done a great job of just maneuvering around this. Like, he hasn't panicked at all. He's just looked at the situation and said, you know what? There's got to be a hole here somewhere. Where can I punish? And he's found the exact right spot.
It's like when players are really good at muta harass, they like, despite how well set up you are as Terran, they'll always find like little pockets to exploit or outmaneuver you. And we see that from Snow with his masterful Reaver control. He just knows how to probe for weakness, and when there is none, he creates the problem and actually exploits something that he creates himself. And that's what makes him such a strong player in this matchup. He's got a fast island expansion with the use of that shuttle, but I mean, Barracks, he didn't lose too much to that attack, has to be said. Like, he lost a few SCVs, he saved the majority of them though, and honestly, he defended that better than I thought he would. So he scans the carriers. That's huge. Knowing that it's carriers right now is such a big help to Barracks, knowing what units to produce, and maybe he can navigate this into a victory. It's just going to be tough. I think carriers are very strong on this map.
Yeah, it's going to be a real challenge to get over there and actually push up that high ground into the natural. It's really the only place that he can attack. And meanwhile, Snow's going to start elevatoring more units into this main base as well. So frustrating to deal with here. Can he shoot down the shuttle? Oh, he's not going to target down the shuttle. So far, he's been handling this really well, but I think that was a mistake. If he just targets the shuttle there, then no more units can be elevated in. It kind of shuts down the attack. He finally does it. He gets it. And actually, there's 4 dragons in here now, which is kind of good for Barracks in a funny way. Like, he's going to kill all 4 of these dragoons without hardly losing anything, aside from maybe an SCV or 2 on these supply depots. Oh, 1 dive. Can he get a kill on a tank? Okay, he got more than I expected.
Yeah, I mean, and slowing down those supply depots doesn't actually help Snow a lot. Like, he's not close to being supply block at all. So this attack did a lot less than maybe it should have for Snow. He's going to try and compensate, quickly establish a second island expansion at the 3 o'clock now. And the carriers are already starting to move out prematurely. Usually you'll wait for like 4 to build up before you bring them to bear. But Snow, he knows they've been identified and is happy to just show them now, and scans from Barracks to see exactly the trajectory of those carriers. It's very important to know where the carriers are going as Terran. You need to always figure out where they are and how to best screen against them and stop them from getting into optimal positions on the map. Nice army catch here from Barracks. Like, Snow's going to get compensation by killing a tank or 2. If he gets a second tank, that's not... He does actually kill the tank. So that's actually really nice of Barracks that he didn't kill both tanks there. And actually, suddenly, Snow could be in trouble if he doesn't stop this push in its tracks.
Snow's army on the ground is minuscule at this point. He's lost so much from that elevator and now from that army getting caught on the center left. It's going to be hard to hold this, but he's got the advantage of the terrain. Lots of high ground on both sides of this, plus the high ground going up into the natural. It's going to be hard for Barracks to push up into there. We'll have to see if Snow can get some really great micro here, start to kill off some of these tanks. The army tries to go around a mine connection on the army that's planning to flank, setting up some turrets here. There's only a bit of buildable terrain, a little bit far from the ramp, so he can't build turrets all the way up to the ramp, but he can build them back here and start to, you know, set up that hard containment. Army moves around the back. It actually cuts off some Goliaths, but I think there's enough to gun down all the interceptors.
He got another like 4 or 5 Goliaths from that rally point up here. That should just barely be enough to breach Snow. He's going to attack his own assimilator to deploy the interceptors so we can start targeting down these Goliaths and tanks one at a time. He's starting to shave off the tank count now. Is there enough Goliaths to shave off all of those interceptors and defang these carriers from having enough DPS to thwart this Terran attack? Siege tanks already starting to hit the Nexus and probes in that mineral line as well. The reinforcements for Snow, the auxiliary force here, not strong enough to put on any counter attacks, but is trying to cut off reinforcements right now. Going to be coming in for a pincer maneuver now on this contain. He's completely decimated all of these tanks here. Unfortunately, the attack from Barracks starting to fall flat, and now these small auxiliary forces out to the west going to be trying to cut off the path of retreat. Luckily, Barracks was able to maneuver these Goliaths to the 12 o'clock away from danger, so he's actually going to save a lot more of this army than I thought he was going to.
Yeah, he does manage to save quite a few of those Goliaths, but his tank count is so low I'm not sure that he can even battle this ground army. This is a really good hold by Snow, just backing up slowly but surely, waiting for the opportune moment. Finally, when Barracks is in range of the Nexus, he pulls the trigger and manages to clean up most of this. And now he's got a very good position here with 2 island bases mining. Totally free money coming in from those island bases. He's not going to be... Oh! Snipe on one of the carriers. At least something going Barracks' way right here. But yeah, he's going to be able to just endlessly produce interceptors. And there's not a whole lot that Barracks can do about it except for just keep pushing directly across the map here. And this is the terrain. The map is working against Barracks now with these high grounds all around. It's so hard to get this push going.
But he does kill a lot of interceptors. I mean, this is still workable for Barracks. If he collapses onto this army now, this could be huge for Barracks. If he kills all of this Dragoon and Zealot before they get on top of that reinforcing army, this could actually suddenly go Barracks' way. It's still going to be really tough for him. He hasn't done so well so far. He's got +2. There's +2 weapon upgrades on the air for the carriers, and only 1-1 for these Terran mech units on the ground. So right now he hasn't got the best of upgrades. He needs to work purely with positioning to make this go his way. But with the 4 bases already established by Barracks, this is definitely a winnable effort. He's got the starport now, just needs to get that science facility and start to get those +2 upgrades himself, and will eventually outscale Snow potentially. But for the time being, Snow has the advantage of not only having the upgrades better off than Barracks does, but also can exploit this terrain heavily, going up and down this water line, hitting the 3rd base and repositioning to harass this army as well.
Yeah, this is great usage of the map by Snow. Just bouncing back and forth between these 2 locations, exactly how you want to play carrier. And it's what makes a great carrier map, as well as the ability to attack and defend with such a little extra movement and positioning. He's just in a spot where he can do both for the moment. Some of these Goliaths getting caught out here as they try to push forward. The entire army has been brought together once again. Can Barracks keep this push going? I mean, he's on 4 bases. It's kind of incredible that he's been able to macro this well, fight this well, and get all 4 bases up, but it's still not looking that great for him.
Yeah, but he had to cut on upgrades to do all of that, which is what is costing him right now. These carriers are just trading better than the Terran is because he's stuck on these 1-1 upgrades for so long. You kind of need a lot of upgrades as Terran when you're fighting carriers. So right now the advantage is still in Snow's side of the court. The science facility finished up recently, so it won't be super long until +2 weapons and armor are done for Barracks, but he's already got +3 air weapons on these carriers, does Snow, and he's ripping through these tanks right now. Eventually Snow will run away with these games due to how late the upgrades are for Barracks. It's a shame because it was going so well for so long with this push, but it seems like Snow has done it for the time being. He's kept Barracks back, and the upgrade advantage now will start to allow Snow to run away with the game potentially.
Man, just pushing through this tiny little choke here is so difficult. I haven't seen a whole lot of TVP on this map, but you can just see how much of a struggle it is to try and push past this high ground at the north side of this tight little gap here that goes into the Protoss 3rd base. Like, he just can't get by there. Every time he's spreading out his army, Snow is coming in and just sniping down tanks, sniping down Goliaths, and there's no way to respond except for shooting up into the air, killing off interceptors, which can be endlessly replaced. There's 3,000 minerals here.
Oh wow, we got Goliath drops actually starting to go online. If he can go around the map and start hitting some of these expansions, there's nothing defending this center island expansion. He could quickly kill the entire probe line in that center island expansion while putting pressure on the front. The carriers cannot respond to this. They have to remain in support of these ground forces. He's going to try and maneuver to save that nexus now, but it opens up a push timing for Barracks to try and drive a wedge between the natural expansion and this army that's sitting out at the 12 o'clock expansion. Is this going to be a strong enough timing for Barracks? Is even killing all of the probes that are in transfer long distance mining at 12 o'clock as well. This isn't necessarily a game ending move by Barracks, but it's giving him a way of coming back into this game.
Well, he got past that tight choked up area. Now he's kind of here in the front of the natural. He's not sieging up, though, and the army's coming forward. He's actually just fully on the retreat. He wants to meet up with his reinforcements. Getting a bit overwhelmed here is Barracks, just retreating and retreating back. If there were legs on these zealots, I think all these Goliaths would already be dead, but somehow there's still no zealot legs. However, carriers might just win the day here. There's not enough Goliaths to hold everything back.
Yeah, Snow did the correct thing of pressuring the reinforcing units with the forces he had at 12 o'clock, and now Barracks in a lot of trouble. He doesn't have enough Goliaths to protect this tank line anymore. He has to tap out. GG is called, and Snow with a pretty unsurprising, convincing victory in game number 1.
I like the idea there from Barracks, you know, going for the mine expansion with the very, very quick third base. He pulled it off, but Snow had a nice little punish there with the elevator into the main, and then the carrier follow-up was incredibly strong. He knows exactly how to abuse Protoss when it comes to facing Terran players, and he knows how hard it would be for Barracks to get a push together and actually defeat him on that map. It's just, there's so much good terrain for him going all the way across the map, and then it's such a quick counterattack to hit that third base as well.
I think the reality is that Barracks knew he couldn't do Flash's other build of, you know, dropping tanks behind the natural expansion of Snow and going for that gambit like he did against Mini, and had to come up with a different plan to try and catch Snow off guard. But the reality is that Snow thought about this too. It had a great play of just elevatoring to the main, not even getting the Reavers, and going straight into carriers. Like, this was a great adjustment from Snow to not even like utilize his advantage of being a really superior Reaver controller, and instead just go straight into carriers as quickly as possible on this map to abuse them to his heart's content. And even with the fourth base of Barracks, he knew it didn't matter because of the upgrade advantage that he had, because Barracks was stuck on 1-1 for so long.
Yeah, Barracks was stuck on 1-1 for a really long time. And just look at how tough it is to push up this high ground, guys. Barracks is doing his absolute best to try and get up here, but the reinforcements have been cut off, and you could just fire right from that high ground we've got on screen here. The carriers, they cannot be tracked down. You can't get any shots on them. And look at how quickly these tanks disappear.
I would say the biggest mistake from Barracks at this point was not having his tanks at the south of this ramp. If he had had all the tanks clumped up at the south of the ramp to lay siege to the Nexus and the probes, he wouldn't have been able to so easily snipe the tanks from the high ground that Barracks couldn't see. He would have to overextend with the carriers, which would then allow Barracks to scan and target down individual carriers, or have an easier time at sniping interceptors and preventing Snow from more easily sniping those tanks.
Yeah, there wasn't any good way to shut down carriers on this map, and it was a pretty straightforward victory from Snow. Guys, we're going to go to commercial break. When we get back, game number 2. All right, guys, we are back from commercial break. Start of this series has gone pretty much how we expected. First game has been taken by Snow. Handled that build with some style, I have to say. Very solid Protoss play. It's exactly what we expect from Snow.
Absolutely, and that was Snow's map pick to boot, so no surprise there. I guess you do see a little bit of handshaking from Barracks. I hope that the adrenaline's not flowing too greatly through his veins. It's good to have a little bit of adrenaline to help you like be alive and present in the moment, but too much can really start to hinder your gameplay. You need to slip into that flow state as quickly as possible.
Let's see what kind of plan he's got here on Polestar. What has Flash cooked up?
Well, it's the ASL Season 20 match number 2 in the semifinals between Barracks and Snow. Let's see. It's Polestar.
Barracks in bottom right. Snow top right. Vertical spawns. Just goes to show that first game that even the best laid plans don't amount to much when it comes to Snow's PvT.
Right. And these spawns are pretty good for Barracks. Like, there's a way to punish a 12 Nexus because of the close spawns, and his third base is away from Snow. So, I mean, that's something to think about, right? Like, this isn't the best case scenario necessarily, but I would say this is pretty good for Barracks going forward.
Yeah, this is one of the more balanced maps that we've got in this season. Pretty solid overall. Big fan of it. Honestly, Polestar. Hope this one sticks around. We've got some English fans in the audience here.
Nice.
It's like a pretty full crowd there. A lot of standing space as well. A lot of standing fans coming out to see if Barracks can make this comeback.
Right. Well, if I'm not mistaken, like if you don't have tickets, you kind of have to stand, right? And I guess, you know, StarCraft fans are just that dedicated. It's like, yeah, I'll stand as long as you just let me in the venue, man.
Yeah, I think in the older studio and the other studio, they wouldn't allow people to come in unless you had a ticket. But it seems like they're making some exceptions. It's a very small studio that they're working with right now.
Right.
So very limited ticketing, which means that there's going to be a lot of angry fans if you don't allow something like standing space.
Yeah, that's true. And I mean, in some of these matches with like Bisu or, yeah, the more popular streamers and more handsome nerds like Calm, like they'll have a lot more fans, so imagine that will cause a little bit of friction when those guys are playing. Luckily, Barracks and Snow, they have a lot of fans, but not nearly as much as some of these other guys that are considered like rock stars in the Korean world.
Well, if Barracks manages to win this game, he's gonna earn himself a lot of fans. If he manages to win this series, like this is one of those legendary moments where if you manage to seize this series and take it away, you'll upset so many players' expectations. Your stream will be, you know, doubled in the next time you go live, I imagine.
Yeah.
It's very likely. Even with Flash's help, it would be an insane achievement.
Okay, so Snow's going to hide the 14 Zealot off to the side here. The SCV would have scouted that. He's tried to chase down this SCV and get the moving shot on it. Barracks done a very good job of manually controlling the pathing of that SCV to not allow Snow to catch up with it. And he's going to be scouting the main as a result. But there is a 14 Zealot that's going to be sneaking out onto the map. Luckily, Barracks, he's not cutting any corners, so he does have 3 Marines. There's nothing this Zealot can really do to him as well. He's going to have to wait for a Dragoon or a second Zealot to show up. It's going to be that Dragoon. As long as Barracks doesn't make any fumbling of the ball here, he should be absolutely fine. And this is great that he's been able to scout with this SCV, but it dies pretty early. Like, technically speaking, he could cancel that range and do something sneaky here, but I doubt Snow would.
Yeah, I don't think he's likely to do that at this point, and I mean, he's going to come in here, try to poke, but getting only one Marine kill, Barracks is well prepared for this. He didn't cut on Marines at all, just not seeing the Zealot. I think that's what Snow was maybe hoping for, that the Zealot would go around and then he wouldn't expect it, maybe cut a couple of Marines, and then suddenly Dragoon Zealot can actually do something here. For the time being, it's just going to be blocking the Scout from getting out, blocking the Vulture from getting out. Oh my gosh, that was so risky. Holy, Barracks just barely slid by there on the bottom side.
Wow, the kahunas on this guy. He's going to almost kill it, though. It just barely sneaks away, but it's going to run into the path of another Dragoon. Can he thread the needle? He just barely won't. Snow catches that Vulture, unfortunately, for Barracks. I mean, I like that he's got such big balls to go for a play like that, but unfortunately, Snow is just on top of everything.
Snow is building a lot of Dragoons right now, by the way. He's going to finish up this range here really early and start to put on some serious pressure. Scary to put your first tank out here, but he'd like to prevent some of this damage. Doesn't want to pay too much of a tax here with this Dragoon hitting, but don't want to risk this first tank, that's for sure.
Well, usually the Vulture would be out on the map, and these Dragoons wouldn't be able to just come and do this, right? Like, usually you would be bullying this bunker against just a regular bunker expand type build. And the reality is that if that Vulture had been on the map, that Snow would have to keep at least one of these Dragoons back. But now he has chance to dive in and snipe this tank with these Dragoons being free to just put on the pressure. He's got enough SCVs to body block, though, so I don't necessarily think that Snow is going to try and run in and kill this siege tank. I imagine he'll just back away now. But, I mean, this has gone pretty good for Snow early game. Like, you really want that Vulture out on the map, not just to put the pressure onto the Protoss to not allow them to force a repair bill on that bunker like that, but also that you can, scout and figure out the timings of when they're going to be taking their third by laying down mines and what have you. So this is pretty Snow favored to start things off.
Yeah, this is a pretty good opener. He did slow down his Nexus a bit, though. It's not the fastest Nexus. His tech's not that quick either. He is going to get the Reaver out. But there's still play here for sure for Barracks. Like, he's not super behind by any means. He's got the SCVs mining, I think, ahead of the probes. Wasn't fully watching the mini-map there, but it was at least on time with when the probes made it to the natural.
Yeah, honestly, like, it's not terrible for Barracks at all. We're just talking about, like, small, like, 1 or 2 percentage points at this early stage of the game. But everything matters at the absolute highest echelons of play that these pros are. If you've got a similar level, or you're a more skilled opponent, more skilled than your opponent by at least, like, a few hundred MMR or even just 100 MMR, it makes such a big difference. Even from behind, you can usually navigate to a victory. So Snow having anything going for him to shut down the economic advantage of Barracks is huge. Let's see how he copes with the Reaver now. Because, I mean, Barracks has got the 2 tanks in the main base to react fluidly to that Reaver play. We've seen him lose so many SCVs in previous series against Snow. I want to see a much stronger showing from him now that he's had all this practice.
We saw him versus Mini, having some really good mine placements. Managing to pick off Reavers and follow up with some really strong pushes, but this is Snow we're talking about, and he just knows how to get in there, man. 3 tanks are here, unsieged. He still can't save the tank, though. Manages to pick that one off. And now going to look for some damage here in the main. Can he... Yeah, as soon as he sees the tank fire... He immediately targets. Wait, huge mistake here from Snow.
Mistake.
Drops the Reaver in range of a second tank. Where's that other tank, by the way? Where's the tank that hit? I don't even see where it is.
The tank in the main hit it. The tank in the main hit it. It's just it was like ever so slightly out of the minimal range of the tank. Like, he barely had it, like literally like a millimeter or 2 inside of the range of that tank, ever so slightly.
Oh my gosh.
Like, that's crazy. Like, just a slight miscalculation from Snow. Sometimes in StarCraft, you could be so good that you make mistakes like that. He thought he had it dialed in where I placed my Reaver just inside of the minimal range distance of that tank, but because he was happy to play with the razor-thin margins, he ever so slightly miscalculated. It was like 1 pixel outside of that.
And that 1 pixel will make such a big difference in this game. That extra 70 damage from the tank, helping him to clear up that initial Reaver, and it just gives Barracks so much more peace of mind here. He can hit his build now and look towards that next stage of the game without having to worry about this Reaver flying in for another few seconds at least. He's got Goliaths out now. He's got turrets out now. The possibility of Snow getting in here and getting damage has been greatly reduced.
Yeah, he's even got a Goliath as well to help finish off the shuttle if it commits. And this is what I was talking about before. If Snow relies too heavily on getting damage with his Reavers and doesn't, suddenly Barracks could just explode out onto the map and his pushes could crush Snow. Like, Snow needs to really be tentative now and slow down this advance with some great Reaver usage. But if Barracks is equally well prepared and leapfrogs appropriately, who knows, man? We might be seeing Barracks taking down a quick tiebreaker here in the series.
He's going to have to be so careful with this push forward. Snow is looking for any opportunity, any misstep. Yeah. There are 2 Goliaths now, and the shuttle is low. That's something to keep in mind. This shuttle could get targeted down extremely fast, and we're going to be watching for that move that Barracks talked about on his stream about how setting up tanks in the back line and pushing forward with some of these tanks at the front. It's not your traditional way of leapfrogging. That was a great move. Baiting in the Reaver for 1 shot and only taking half damage from the retreating tank. There's a possible counterattack here set up for Snow. He's actually going to go to the natural now. No mines up here in the front. Tanks are going to siege up now. Can he get some mines down in time? Looks like he might just barely get the mines out here. I don't see any observers with this force, but that mine connection actually fantastic for Snow. Oh, no Marines in here either, and tanks are just going to walk all the way forward. He's going to be able to drop, get a couple of Reaver shots. Can he get the shot on the Reaver? No! He misses the shot. These shots, oh my god, the Reaver hits are so good.
Oh, jeez. The Scarab connections are masterful from Snow. He's making short work of this, and he's doing damage in the natural of Barracks as well. Starting to run away with this game a little bit, completely crushing the advance of Barracks and doing some counter damage to boot. There is a few vultures trying to slip out onto the map right now to, keep Snow back. Sometimes offense is the best form of defense here, and he's going to try and force the attention of Snow back at home and stop things like these Zealots from just streaming across the map. And he will buy a little bit of time for himself to stabilize as a result. And he did manage to avoid taking critical damage in the natural, but he lost so many tanks in that push, Saiyan.
I mean, this is just what makes Snow so unbelievably strong in this matchup. Putting on a bit of pressure at the natural, stealing away some of Barracks' attention, and then doing both things at the same time. Controlling his counterattack and controlling the Reaver to absolute perfection. Barracks wasn't able to keep up. He let his tanks get way too clumped and ends up losing everything in a blaze of Reaver damage. Now, gonna try to push out here again. He's sticking with this low upgrade style, so he is gonna have quite a mass of units pouring out of his base for the time being, but he's just not gonna have that upgrade timing, so he really does need to get something done with this upcoming attack.
Yeah. He's thinking maybe Snow's being a little bit greedy with this 4th base, and maybe there's a room to punish or at least get some good trades. Oh, that's a big mistake from Barracks, losing a tank for free. Every tank is like gold dust right now. He has like 4 tanks out on the map. He's got another 3 coming now, but 8 tanks is a lot better than 7. He's starting to take a 3rd base as well. Maybe he can pop this Reaver quickly with the vultures, but Snow reacts in time and saves both the Dragoon and the Reaver in stellar fashion. Will do a lot of damage to that Nexus with the fragmentation grenades. Upgrades help a lot with killing buildings for vultures, so he might eventually chip away at that. There's units coming in to try and save, but these mines might slow them down just barely enough for them to kill that Nexus.
Yeah, it seems like he might get the Nexus, and so this 3rd base actually has a chance to maybe bring Barracks back in this game, right? He's going to get that third base up. Oh, he should really target down that Reaver. It's so low. Oh
Yeah,
my
it's so
goodness.
low.
It does manage to survive, though. It's going to regen some of that, those shields and continue to be useful as a defensive tool over in the top left. Barracks, small glimmer of hope here with that base being killed.
Yeah, I've actually lost stream feed right now, Saiyan, so you keep talking because I don't see anything, buddy.
All right, I'm not sure what's going on with the technical issue. Just let me know, Xun, once you can see once again. I believe the stream is still rolling here, so let me know in the chat, guys,
I see it
if
again.
there's a problem. Okay, you've got it. Excellent. Just quickly checking to make sure it's all good, but seems like we're all fine and dandy here, and we're gonna be witnessing this attempted comeback. This is a nice snipe, actually, but Reaver attack coming into the third base. Oh my god, 8 kills.
Wow. Yeah, he can't afford to take any more damage like this. Snow starting to run away with this game. The shuttle will die to the turret, but the Reaver does get out and will cause a little bit of a headache, force the army to come back and defend against this and keep Barracks kind of locked in to his base and not able to really establish himself out on the map. He stopped the 4th base attempt for Snow for a little while. Snow now going to be taking his natural 3rd as his 4th in response to this. I guess one thing that Barracks can be happy about is that it'll take a lot longer for Snow to establish a 2nd rally point at this rate, but Snow's actually going to be taking the bottom left base as a 5th, and we'll be setting up a rally point down there with some gateways, and Barracks might not scout that for a very long time, Zan.
Yeah, you're not going to be expecting that, I think, here as Barracks. You know, the top left has been denied for a little bit. He's got a mine, I think, over at the 3rd base in top left. You know, that kind of pocket expansion over there. He's waiting for another base to try and go up here, but he has no idea that there's a probe already down in bottom left. It's very hard to transfer probes over there, that's for sure. So it'll be difficult for Snow to really get any value out of that base, but the longer it lives, the worse it is for Barracks right now.
Yeah, absolutely. He's going to be out of the frying pan into the fire very quickly if he's not really cautious and hyperactive with these vultures. Could snipe some more of these High Templars critically. Needs to get some value like that. One of them will be falling. There's not enough space in that shuttle to get all 5 of those Templars in there. So that's a little bit of value for him, but he needs a lot more of that to occur to be okay in this game. There's still plenty of splash damage available to Snow to stop this army in its tracks. And those tanks are looking pretty clumped up as well. He's going to have to do a better job of positioning those tanks, and when the fight actually does take place, not give such great value trades available to Snow and getting like 4-for-1 type deals with those storms.
Yeah, don't want to make the same mistake as that first push. That first attack got absolutely dismantled by just a couple of Reaver Scarabs, and so he's actually going to target down the shuttle. Very good target here. Very, very good target by Barracks. Getting rid of that shuttle immediately gives him such a better chance here of making this push work. I think 3 Templars died in that shuttle, Xun. Only one ends up getting out, and 1 storm doesn't really make up the value there. This is looking like a scary push. Even though things have gone so bad for Barracks with his initial push, he's doing a great job of fighting back.
Well, absolutely. There is a strong possibility that maybe, just maybe, Barracks here can slowly turn away this game. He's coming into natural position, killing more High Templars. Snow equally slows down the base of Barracks at the 6 o'clock, storming the STV, building that command center. But yeah, there is a window in which Barracks could turn this game around, especially if he identifies this base at the bottom left. If he knows that there's a win condition of just pushing horizontally and protecting his own expansion at 6 o'clock while knocking out this base in the bottom left quadrant, could certainly come back in the game in a strong way as a result after that fact.
I'm sure that Barracks is starting to get a little suspicious that there might be a base down here at the bottom left. Like, it's a little strange that Snow hasn't gone up to top left and cleared out the mines there and set up another expansion just yet. Also that he's keeping his army on the left-hand side of Barracks' army, right? That's a little bit suspicious. I'm sure he's starting to figure things out, but he's content to just sit here on 4 bases for now and possibly start some more of these upgrades because he's been low on those upgrades for quite some time.
Yeah, definitely a little bit sus and needs to be trying to put those puzzle pieces together to figure out exactly what he's up against. But it's usually a Terran would just not check for that base down there. Nice Psionic Storm to soften up those tanks a little bit. Needs to be careful not to let his vultures get ripped apart by a Psionic Storm as well. They kind of die as quickly as Hydras underneath that storm, and they are bigger units, so you can't kill as many of them, but still you need to be on top of everything when you're playing against Storm as Terran. Pre-splitting your tanks and also making sure things like Vultures and Goliaths don't just get stormed for free.
Well, this is really good reactions from Barracks. Snow's up to his usual tricks here. Throwing in a couple Zealots, casting a couple Storms, just getting those little trades to try and make things better for his upcoming attack. But he's losing so many Zealots. Look at all the Zealots that went down to these mines, and the Vultures are constantly running forward here to snipe High Templar. He's been killing off High Templar again and again, and actually he's going to start to push. He's still on 1-1. I'm surprised. This could be a counter, or this could be an anti-timing here, not waiting for +2, but he feels like he's got the momentum after all these High Templars he's killed.
Yeah, he might be right as well, saying, I mean, and he's maxed out. He kind of has to go, I would say. This does kind of make sense. It is a slight anti-timing because of the lack of upgrades, but honestly, it might not matter. The upgrades of Snow might not be good enough for it to even come into play too much, and he is starting to run down Snow. As long as he avoids too many of these 2-on-1 trades with the Psionic Storm and keeps splitting all of his tanks, this could work. He's also draining some of the energy of the limited High Templars that Snow has got with just a few probing of these initial siege tanks. And then when he goes in for the big push, there will not be enough Psionic Storm left to deal with the rest of the tanks. He's got a lot of speed shuttles, but good target firing from those Goliaths kills one of them. You could easily start to encroach on this rally point location. Look at the macro of Barracks right now. It's absolutely insane. Pouring across the map on this vertical axis is a massive Psionic Storm. They're getting that 4-for-1 cost-effective deal. He's a happy shopper right now, but it might not matter. All the budgeting and couponing in the world might not be enough to save Snow if he's not careful.
Snow's going to go around for a counterattack, try to make this push costly for Barracks. He doesn't have enough back at home. He may end up losing his CC there at 6 o'clock. Starting to eat some mines, though. Zealot's going to come up here on high ground, kill this tank. Barracks might feel pressured to go for the kill. Just try to get right in here like he did earlier. If he gets a little bit inefficient, though, if he stacks up his tanks too much, we could have a repeat of what happened earlier.
Yeah, I think he miscalculated and didn't realize that there was all these gateways down in the bottom left, so he's not expecting this kind of counterattack, so it might kind of throw him through a loop a little bit, but he does feel like he needs to just go with his army and try and defend with, you know, rallied units that are coming out of his production line. He might still be able to hold off against this force. Snow's starting to pull back now, but he shut down mining at one of these bases critically, and you need 2 bases worth of mining as Terran. For the time being, his natural expansion has a little bit of gas in the tank still, but eventually that will be dried up and he'll be down to just 1 base worth of economy, so he has to go full steam ahead and start to knock out some of these Protoss expansions while containing the main rally point of Snow.
This is unreal. Barracks has center right somehow. I don't know how he expanded there as well during all this, but he's managed to get that base online. He's still
That's insane.
Technically on like 3-4 bases. I mean, the main is pretty well mined out at this point. Still on 1-1, Xun. No no upgrades. He's just going for it here. Dive on top of this base. Snow using that second rally point and bringing Reavers around to the center right. Oh my goodness, the entire economy just evaporated for Barracks. This was looking pretty good with the push coming across the map, but really Snow just avoiding the push altogether, going around the side and making it impossible for Barracks to win.
He's even going to lose the command center to Reavers because he's so distracted elsewhere. He can't even lift it off. This command center dies. This push is looking great for Barracks, but he has no counterplay. Like losing that CC at the 3 o'clock really does start to hammer in the nails on the coffin. He might even have to float a CC from his main or natural to that spot and try and keep his hopes alive. But Snow with this base in the bottom left is also going to expand, take the natural, and yeah, be in a very commanding position. I mean, it's great that Barracks has like been able to knock out these 2 expansions at 12 o'clock and this natural third in the top left quadrant, but it's not good enough. Barracks losing that base at 3 o'clock now spells disaster for him. He cannot keep up with Snow for much longer.
Yeah, this is where Snow starts to get really efficient as well, when these small pockets of army that are left over traversing the map trying to pick off bases. Now he can start to look for those little snipes with the Reavers, killing off tanks here and there, and Barracks' army is limited. He does not have income anymore. He's just got this one army, and he's hoping to end the game with it, and I don't think that Snow's going to let him do it.
Yeah, the supplies are a little bit deceiving. Like, it looks like Barracks has no supply compared to Snow, but most of that is army. There's not a lot of SCVs on the map, so relatively speaking, they have very similar army power. The problem is that the longer this goes on, the worse it's going to get for Barracks, because he's not going to be able to reproduce more and more units, whereas Snow, as long as he trades a 50% efficiency rating, he's going to run away with this game. Reaver's doing so much heavy lifting as well, ripping through these tanks as well as SCVs. In general, there's just not much hope in this game for Barracks if he doesn't get another base mining. And Snow has got like high templates on the high ground in the top right as well. So like he can't even kill the main base of Snow while this is all going on. This is problematic to say the least, Sam.
Yeah, he has to get this third base online, and even if he does, he's going to be sitting here on 1 base economy. To be fair, Snow sitting on only 2, those 2 bases down in the bottom left, but he's still got production. He's had mining for much longer than Barracks, who's been off of mining for a really long time now. 2 more kills on these tanks. Are you kidding me? Still getting
crazy.
So much value. This is just Snow in a nutshell.
Yeah, there's a lot of players watching, knowing that those Reavers cost as much gas as those tanks do. So it's really painful to see the Reavers do that much heavy lifting and still kill 2 tanks before they bite the dust. It's just so much cost efficiency for Snow overall. It's absolutely insane, and being down to just 1 mining base against the 2 of Snow is untenable. You kind of need 2 mining bases to keep all of your facilities producing. Snow going in for a massive attack right now. Big Psionic Storms and the clumps of tanks in the front line. Another clump of tanks in the back in a panic. Going to be helping Snow get some massive value trades. This is the biggest mistake of Terran players, clumping up their tanks like this. Going to be costing Barracks the game in the end. GG is called, and a quick, convincing 2-0 lead from Snow, deflating Barracks.
Snow is just a master. He's an absolute master. Like, he's playing Aikido right here. He's just letting Barracks follow through with the attack. He's not trying to fight his army head on. He's just going around, poking him apart, looking for mistakes. He never forces a full-on engage. He's not trying to beat Barracks. He's making sure that Barracks can't win.
Yeah, he's using Barracks' own weight against him, like Aikido as well. And yeah, unfortunately, Barracks is getting absolutely dismantled by a masterclass from Snow. And that's usually what you want to do as Protoss, is you don't want to ever have to fight the Terran head on. You want to play this maneuver style warfare and constantly counterattack and cause headaches for the Terran along the way, wait for a mistake, and then pounce. One of the only Protoss players that breaks that rule is someone like Best, who somehow bowls over these entrenched positions and makes it look easy. But for every other Protoss player on the planet, that's not how they play. And Snow's done an absolute 101 on how to do this against Barracks thus far. This push looks so scary, but look at how clumped up these tanks are, and suddenly the Reaver Scarabs will absolutely rip through this.
Yeah, I mean, Barracks, you can see the plan from him, or the thought process from him, and it's exactly what Snow wanted. You know, he sees the counterattack come in, he goes, oh, you don't have anything back at home. I could just push you now. And Snow says, absolutely not. If you don't spread your tanks, if you don't play perfectly, I'm still going to rip you apart with just a couple of Reavers. It's crazy how well you have to play to beat Snow, just all around. You have to play like an absolute god, and Barracks just not quite at that level here today.
Yeah, I mean, it was fortunate for Barracks that that first Reaver died. in the way that it did. But I mean, the reality is, even if you do get a slight advantage, if the other guy's playing better than you by a margin of 100 MMR or so, those small mistakes do not matter. And you will eventually claw your way back in the game. If you are a confident guy that can go the distance, it's usually only a factor if you're like a middle range of player that can't quite go the distance. Even those small advantages will eventually add up a lot against you. But if you're one of these really talented guys that have put in the effort and you know how to take the game to the final stages in a super late scenario, and you're more than confident to just sit back and play your A game and do what you need to do to win, like, as long as you're slightly better than your opponent, you'll eventually win out no matter how small of an advantage they get in the start.
Just so impressive what Snow can do. I'm also very impressed by Barracks, though. The way that he brought that game back, I really thought he had a great chance when he went for that push. It's just counterattack City. Every single time Barracks tries to do something, get out on the map and make a push happen, counterattacks are coming in. Do you think he's going to be able to realize that and adapt to it? I hope he decides to, leave more mines at his natural and maybe leave a tank on high ground or something, maybe leave Marines in the bunker, something like that. Some sort of small adjustment here that can potentially shut down the counter attack style of Snow, because I don't see him stopping that anytime soon. It's just so effective.
Yeah, I think two of the other things he needs to work on is the pre-splitting of tanks. There needs to be a lot more of that. He's doing a lot of late sieges and just panicking and hoping for the best. It's not acceptable at this highest level. Like, some of the time you can do it and get away with it, but half of the time you've got to be pre-splitting those tanks and avoiding value trades from Scarabs and Storms. And I think the other thing he needs to work on is going to be his mental game now. He needs to stay composed and not let this 2-0 lead from Snow phase him too much. He can still turn this around. It's just going to be really tough.
Yeah, this is going to be a real challenge. I think he's capable, and I'm certain that he has some good plans, some good ideas for these next upcoming maps, but just the way that Snow is playing tonight, it's going to be so tough. That one mistake that he made with the Reaver, I mean, we can kind of explain that away, right? Sometimes the Reaver doesn't drop exactly where you feel like it's going to drop, right? If something's underneath the shuttle, like there were vultures and tanks under that shuttle in that drop, like the range is not very easy to tell as well. It's very difficult to figure out exactly how far away you can be without getting attacked by that tank. Small mistake from Snow there, almost allowed Barracks to make that comeback, but couldn't quite get it done, guys. We're going to jump into our next game here shortly. Commercial break. We'll be right back. All right, guys, we are back. Ready for this next game. I know it looked pretty one-sided there in game number 2, but honestly, I thought Barracks had a very good chance of winning that game after killing the Reaver. The push across the map was really strong, well executed. Yeah. He didn't take the damage that we usually see Terran players take as they're coming across the map against Snow. Usually Snow's picking off tons of units. He's killing tanks as they try to push forward, but Snow he wasn't able to do that. Barracks was doing a great job. He was getting hits on the Reaver and pushing forward. It was just when the counterattack came, instead of taking it slow and, you know, dealing with the counterattack back at home first before going in for the push, he tried to do both at once. He ironically over multitasked in that situation, I'd say. You know, trying to do both things at once rather than just leaving those tanks spread and split and sieged up. Tried to get in there and kill that Nexus immediately and really bit him in the butt.
Yeah, if he just had those tanks a bit more split up, maybe we could have seen a very different game. He didn't take too much damage from that counterattack. He lost an empty bunker, some units, and maybe 1 or 2 SEVs. Not really game-ending damage. So had he just been a bit more tentative with that push, had the tanks a bit more pre-split, and, you know, focused on getting a more optimized task switching going rather than just panicking and trying to ram it down like that, there was a chance that Barracks could have got the victory there.
He's got to keep that in mind going into this next game. I really do feel like he has a chance to win any one of these games. I don't know if he can win the series, but at least he can get some wins here. It's just after losing the first 2 games, it's hard to keep your mental in check. I hope that Barracks is able to do so.
Yeah, I think he has some kind of mental block against Snow in particular. Like, I feel like if this was any other player under the sun, he'd be a lot more calm and collected in the semifinal stage. But I think just because of his storied history with Snow, I think that's what's really hindering Barracks here and is stopping him having the confidence in himself that he can take down the series and win. I think there's some niggling doubts in the back of his mind and maybe a little bit of insecurity shining through and stopping him finding that ebb and flow and playing at 100% of his power level.
Snow definitely seems to be the kryptonite for so many different Terran players, man. Like,
yeah.
It's crazy.
He had like a 30 kill Reaver, right, against Barracks last time or something. It was crazy.
Yeah, that was one of the more embarrassing ASL showings we've ever seen. For sure, a lot of people were commenting on that. But did that cause a mental block for him? I'm not totally sure. It just feels like Snow has his number in this series. There are some small things that Barracks could change to turn things around, but will he be able to in time?
Yeah, I'm not so sure. I mean, he certainly needs to have better tank splitting if he wants to beat Snow in this series. Snow is so good at abusing things like Reavers and Templars from shuttles. If you have too many clump tanks, you're going to be losing out on those trades in the end. So I'm hoping that Barracks can calm himself down a little bit and be a little bit more thoughtful about how he moves around the map and how he positions his units, because he's going to need to take some games off of Snow.
Absolutely. Has to be a little bit more aware of the possibility of counterattack as well after that last game. It should be in the back of his mind that if he sees the army retreating and just kind of letting him push forward, it's time to start laying mines and maybe setting up some of these reinforcing tanks back at home to prevent the counterattack from doing massive damage or distracting him too long so that he can't pay attention to his main army. Barracks actually looking more calm than Snow right now. Snow is he locked in, or is he praying for the victory here?
I don't know. It looks like one or the other, or maybe a bit of both. Seemed like he was a bit hunched over and, you know, giving some words to his chosen deity to lend him his spirit and energy to be able to overcome and smash this 4-0 and finally get a championship and get that gold star on his chest. We're about to find out if he can go all the way to the ASL Season 20 semi-finals match between Barracks and Snow. Game number 3. And the map is Dominator. Let's get it, guys.
Barracks. Spawning center right. Snow. Bottom left. And Snow has a lot of leeway here. We could see some interesting play from him, like going even for, you know, DT drop. He does like to mix that in, especially when he's got a bit of a lead going. And this is a perfectly fine map to try and throw that in there. So... we've definitely seen him go DTs on this map before, so good potential here for Snow to mix it up a little bit and, you know, go away from that Reaver play that we so well know him for.
Absolutely, that's a cute little Reaver there on the cheerful. A lot of a great mix in the crowd. You see a lot of foreigner fans, even some kids now on screen. Everyone's showing up to watch StarCraft. It's that good of a game, and it's really stood the test of time. I mean, I'm curious to see what both players have planned on Dominator. We used to, when it first came out, we thought it would be a very Protoss-sided map with the pizza slices and the high to low ground transitions. They've even had to patch it a little bit because it was so easy to lay siege to the gateways in the main base from the mineral-only location. So they even had to help against Terrans and also help Terrans take their third easier. Now there's more buildable terrain on that natural expansion pizza slice to kind of leapfrog forward and get a third going. So it's kind of a weird map, I would say. Like when we first looked at it, we thought it would be way more unbalanced than it was, but it's actually shaped out to being a very good map for Terrans that know how to exploit it.
Yeah, if Barracks can get a good start here, he may be able to make use of these map features, push the center, control the lanes, and do a really good job. But remains to be seen what Snow is going to try to pull off and what kind of damage he can get done against Barracks. He's not revealed any of his build here just yet. Looks like he's skipping a Zealot. Going to be going into a Dragoon. And Barracks is going to get in here, is going to see what's going on, but nothing really has been revealed yet, and I think we're going to see some trickery from Snow. I just have a hunch.
Isn't this the first time that Snow has skipped the Zealot in the series as well thus far? I don't think he did that in the other 2 games.
No.
I think he went for a Zealot both times.
You're totally right. He might be gearing towards a faster Nexus. We'll see if he wants to get this down like 21, something like that. He actually cancels something. He's gone back down to 19. Yeah, he cancels something and goes ahead and just makes the
range.
Nexus there. He must have canceled a probe. Just one supply less. Try to get that out as soon as possible. So he's really getting the fastest Nexus he can here off the 1 gate Goon expand.
Yeah, so basically just a rangeless expand with no early Zealot, which makes sense, and it's a little bit greedy without being risky. There is ways of punishing this if you were doing something crazy, like a really strong FD push or a 2-fact, but neither of those things are happening, and we got the probe scout confirmation for Snow to know that, you know, he's pretty much safe to cut a few corners and be a little bit greedy behind this. Gonna try and kill the SCV on the command zone, and not successful in doing so. 2 Marines and a Vulture, just barely enough to bully that away. Snow getting a good confirmation scout that CC was even there to begin with, though, and probably going to be throwing down a Robo. Yeah, there's the Robo now.
Quite a bit of greed on both sides. Getting such a quick CC with hardly any Marine support is going to make up for the fact that Snow went for this 19 Nexus.
Yeah.
Getting some damage on this Dragoon, pretty nice as well. Snow not able to get a kill on any of these Marines here, and so the bunker will be foregone. Like, doesn't need to get a bunker at all, which is pretty fantastic for Barracks, but there's going to be a pretty quick Reaver coming in his way as well. So this is accelerating pretty quickly.
This is an interesting thing as well, because he's actually building a 5th Marine. So this is kind of like an FD push, but Snow already knows it's not, you know, 2 factory. So it's interesting that he's gone for a 5th Marine and will be applying pressure despite being scouted, and maybe he's thinking he can punish some greed from Snow if Snow wants to try and take a very fast 3rd Nexus here. The way he's positioning his units makes me think that that's the case. Like, he's coming all the way up to this northern flank and then going to be hitting from a different location. Like, he's trying to punish Snow, going for a fast 3rd.
Snow's thinking about going for that fast 3rd as well. Now there's going to be a Marine push coming up on this high ground. Not able to get the flank with the Vulture coming from the rally point, but he does kill a Dragoon. The injured Dragoon from earlier goes down, and he's able to place mines right in front of the natural. Can deny a quick 3rd base here from Snow, so not really getting much of a punish, but at least slowing down that 3rd base that Snow was planning to take.
Well, it's very common in the modern meta to like use that FD push as like an escort force to like force the Dragoons back to allow these mines to get into position and allow the Vultures to do the job that they need to and slow down that 3rd timing. So this is moderately successful from Barracks, I would say.
Yeah, this has done what it was intended to do. This is not a push intended to kill. More to control and figure out what your opponent is up to. Make sure that you can punish really severely greedy play. A run by is going to be completely denied. 3 Vultures die as a result. This is pretty rough for Barracks, who was hoping that he could catch a probe at least coming out to take a 3rd. Yeah. Maybe even get a run by there, but he gets nothing. And so his standing army is quite reduced.
Yeah, and honestly, like, he's lost any tiny tempo edge that he had a moment ago. And Snow, with that crisply timed Nexus, he's looking pretty good in this game. I still think Barracks is a very playable game state to work with, but I mean, the reality is that there's a tiny lead for Snow, and he's that good at the game that if he's got an inch, he's going to start taking a mile once that mid game comes into full swing. He does kill the probe, that's not terrible. Tries to get a glitch on the Dragoons with the mine slide from the Vulture so we can get into the natural expansion with these Vultures and get one into the main base. He does get a Vulture into the main base, but there's 2 Dragoons popping out of the gateway at this precise moment, so we won't get too many probes here. But, I mean, at least he gets a little bit of a scout off and keeps the Dragoons back, allowing a follow-up counterattack from Barracks here to get onto the high ground while Snow's back at home dealing with... Willis is a Dragoon to the mine as well. That's pretty huge. There is a Reaver that's just popped out as well. Barracks needs to be careful not to overextend.
Yeah, this is maybe an overextension here. That was a great Scarab connection as well. I mean, he's getting a little greedy here, and Snow is going to end up killing 3 tanks most likely. I mean, that's going to go down. There's 1 more tank. No, 2 more tanks here at the back. Can't exactly land on top of that. Snow has 700 minerals, by the way. He's got 700 minerals in the bag. He was planning to take this 3rd base a long time ago. It's finally been thrown down. He still has 900 minerals. Is Snow falling apart here?
Maybe a little bit. Like, he didn't expect this from Barracks, I don't think, either way, and he's having a hard time finding his groove yet again. Good target firing on that tank, but he did take a lot of damage onto that Reaver as a result of dropping that timing. That Reaver's pretty softened up. Like, 1 good shock cannon fire from a tank will probably kill it, and there's not that many Dragoons left alive. He killed so many Dragoons with this attack. The 3rd base is on the way, but he's losing more and more Dragoons to these mines. Maybe there's a way of making this work here for Barracks. That Reaver is still a threat, but it's at quite low HP. It has regenerated quite a lot of its shield, so it won't just be sniped easily anymore. But I don't know, man. Like, there's a tiny chance for Barracks to make this work. It's just that Snow is barely hanging on by a thread and keeping him back.
Well, as long as he keeps on rallying Vultures over here, setting up mines, and just being annoying, at least he's going to prevent the 3rd base from being mined easily. That transfer still hasn't gone through, and that Nexus has been done for quite some time. There is the transfer of probes now. Finally going to come up here. There's a interestingly placed mine there. Looks like it's not going to amount to anything, but had there been a unit there, a zealot or something, it could have been disastrous. No cannons over on that high ground just yet. Probably no forge. Yeah, it looks like the forge hasn't started here, so he can't really make cannons to defend this. Oh my gosh. That mine, so close. Can he actually get the wall? He does get it, just barely in time.
That's crazy. Like, imagine if these vultures actually get in here. One of those dragoons is already softened up too. Reaver's going to come and respond to this, but he needs to be careful with that Reaver because it's low on HP. If he suddenly just turns on that Reaver and starts shooting it with the vultures. Okay, this is a fresh Reaver, so it's actually not too big of a deal. You definitely don't want to use the softened up Reaver to do that. But I mean, there is a way of making this work for Barracks. He's going to go up to like 6 factory weapon production and try and do a massive 2-base timing attack potentially here with a +1 weapon upgrade finishing up. I mean, he could maybe make this work for himself. It hasn't quite gone his way, but he was very close to hammering in some nails into Snow's coffin in this game. Very close to beating him out. Snow was barely hanging on there. I think most Protoss players would have died to that push.
It's very likely so. Barracks just barely didn't have enough to drive the final nail into the coffin, but is looking for that finishing blow, that final strike to take down Snow. Big mine connection here. Oh my gosh. Excellent mine placement and the tank. Oh,
that's
now
such a perfectly placed tank.
This push has got so much potential.
That's like, he must have studied that tank placement in a map editor or something. That's like one of the best placed tanks I've seen in a long time. It covers every edge of his main base pretty much. Guys, take notes. That's a great place to put your singular siege tank in your main base on this map at that position. That was crazy. That was like maximum pixel range firing.
He moved it into position once the Zealot dropped out. That's why the Zealot didn't take the shot initially. Just had that unsieged in his main, ready to respond wherever Snow decided to land, and the mine was perfectly placed as well. Now this push has so much potential. If he comes across the map right now and doesn't make any big blunders, it's going to be so hard for Snow to fight this head on. Are we going to see him try to go for another counterattack?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, this is 7 factories weapon production as well behind this. This is a scary thing that Snow has to contend with. Takes a little bit of damage onto that other Reaver as well. He's mainly relying on those 2 Reavers to do a lot of heavy lifting and slowing down this turn advance. Once the leg enhancements comes online for those Zealots, Snow has a lot more chance at beating this back. But for the time being, these are slow Zealots that are having to come and deal with this fight ahead of schedule. He wants to wait for leg enhancements, but he hasn't got time to wait for that. Finally, leg enhancements kick in, and he can start to fight back against this Terran threat in a big way. But there's so many rallied vultures coming in for Barracks, it might not matter.
These Reaver shots are so strong, man. He's getting insane value with these Reavers. Every single attack is going down on at least 2 tanks and getting crazy hits over and over again. Now going to drop some Zealots here. Good unsiege there to just keep the tanks alive, but Reaver drops out and gets the follow-up hit. This is so hard to push into. Barracks is doing absolutely everything he can, but Snow is just so good at just endlessly hitting back with these Reaver Scarabs over and over again. A 3rd base comes up for Barracks. 4th base going to go down for Snow. This game could go on, but there's nothing down here to defend. Snow's probably going to counterattack.
It's like watching Bonif on steroids. It's like insane what Snow can do. But Barracks has got a 3rd base established behind this, so has a lot of potential. Still kills one of the Reavers. This could be a big blow for Snow. He needs to hold on to this pizza slice. He loses the shuttle for free at the 3rd base. That's a critical error from Snow. Can Barracks find a way of capitalizing? He's currently even on supply with another factory finishing up. He will have the production to put a massive, powerful push timing into the area of Snow at the rally point location. There is a DT here. If he quickly identifies this DT and scans for it, it's going to be really tough for Snow to fight this back cost efficiently. He tries to get a mine drag into the tank line, unsuccessful, but this DT still doing a little bit of a nightmare here causing some damage to these siege tanks for free with the Warblade. Finally, a scan comes out, but not before losing a tank. So the DT kind of doing its diligence and paying off. Shuttle, though, taking a lot of damage. Just one hit remaining on that. Unable to properly escort this Reaver around and slow down this push. Is Barracks going to be able to do this?
He's getting so close. I mean, things are going right for him little by little. He's making the correct moves. He gets the shuttle. He gets another shuttle. Oh my gosh,
No
he killed
way.
a shuttle that was heading across the map that was probably going to be harassing that third base. I don't know what was in there. Likely some High Templar, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe a Reaver. We're not sure, but how many shuttles have been lost here by Snow? 3, 4 shuttles
About
that
3 or
really
4,
haven't
yeah.
gotten damage?
Yeah, 1 in the main and 2 trying to get some damage now recently, and not enough. We see the 1-1 upgrades, but only 1 upgrade as well in the weapons for Snow. And as long as he can make this push timing work, it doesn't matter that he's going to be stuck on 1-1 upgrades for a long time. He has the third base. He has the additional factories available to him, like 8 or so factories now. Has a lot of push power behind this. Snow starting to wrap around in the center of the board, looking for counterattack opportunities potentially here. But is he going to have enough to stop this attack from Barracks? He's killed another shuttle now. He's got more of the Reavers than he can put into shuttles right now. Hard to maneuver this army against Terran when they're knocking on your door like this. So maybe Barracks can make it work. Here comes the counterattack now, though, in the natural expansion. There's the High Templar supporting this as well. He shuts that down with the Vultures quickly, though. Going to be hard for Snow to kill too much with that army, but it will slow down any reinforcements.
Having a hard time sniping the rest of these shuttles here at the rally point. Hard time getting up on this high ground as well. Gonna be dropping down to 1 base economy here soon. And oh my gosh, Snow's found the one location that's weak. This third base is gonna take so much damage. The SCVs here could all end up going down. He's gonna have to respond to that as quickly as he can, but I'm really hoping that Barracks just holds this position here, keeps building these turrets and repairing these tanks. He is. Okay, look at these adjustments from Barracks. He's doing a great job here, not panicking, not overreacting to Snow's counters.
Yeah, he needs to be careful
Oh my God,
Oh, this is
mine.
really good, actually. He's going to gobble up this army pretty effectively. That mine was huge. And now he's going to kill this shuttle and these Reavers, it looks like. I mean, this is pretty good from Barracks. He needs to be careful that he doesn't lose any of his tank line at the front right now, because there's no Vulture support. Looks like Snow is going to use the opportunity to start to sneak out onto the map. Does take another mine hit, which softens up like 8 of those Zealots. That could be a big deal, actually, if he wants to engage anytime soon. He wants to ideally wait a little bit of time for those shields to regenerate. But the reality is that Barracks is going to be knocking on his door right now, and he needs to respond to that. He either needs to counterattack or collapse onto this army. One of the two. Looks like he's going to go for a bit of both and then hesitate and pull back into the center again. And he just lost a few more Zealots for free. There is a strong possibility of Barracks closing. Look at that beautiful scan as well, identifying exactly where the army location is. Now he can remain fluid with his own units and get them into more optimal positions to deal with this attack. He identifies there's not a lot of Dragoons here. It's predominantly Zealots, so as long as he's got just a few tanks and Vultures on standby to deal with this army, he can shut down the counterattacks from Snow.
This is a perfect response from Barracks. Finally bringing things together and responding properly to the counterattacks, not allowing it to force him into a bad spot. Just slowly dealing with the counter and then pushing into a better position inch by inch. No clumping here. Look at how spread all of these tanks are. He's going to get up onto the high ground, start to contain the singular rally point. Snow got the last army. The last army that he possibly could out of this rally. And it's going around for yet another counter. But Barracks is closing in. He just needs to handle this counter properly and continue to slowly inch forward. And I think he's going to be able to close this game. But Snow is still a factor. He's still scary, and he's still making space out in front of this army.
Saying a mine hit like a massive clump of Protoss infantry and killed a High Templar. That's some pretty bad news bears. He's got a counterattack, going to be shutting down the mineral-only expansion, 4th base from Barracks. Meanwhile, he got a probe transfer safely up to that newly established natural expansion in the top left. He's going to try and set up a rally point up there, and that's going to be Snow's win condition, is getting this other rally point online and shutting out Barracks from getting 2 main bases under control. and eventually win slowly but surely. But look at this engineering blade block as well from Barracks. He really wants to start leaning on Snow. That's a pretty good storm to start things off, but it's going to be so hard for Snow to trade cost efficiently against this. He's probably going to play a keep away style of game sense and just not allow Barracks to trade too quickly and too effectively while he establishes this base up here in the top left. But is it going to be too slow? I mean, it's going to take a long time for that rally point to come online. There's a strong possibility that Barracks can do what he needs to do before that even becomes relevant.
Yeah, he's starting to kill gateways. Gateways are going down in the main. He can start to hit these pylons as well. If he inches forward just a little bit further, he can start to hit the rest of the gateways there in the main, and that's just going to cut off so much production. Kills another High Templar here. Dragoons are up on high ground, but as soon as he clears that high ground and he's got all his tanks on the high ground, just raining down fire into the main base, it's so difficult for the Protoss to ever get out of this kind of chokehold. And so he's just gonna start making gateways top left, rally out and try to make this counterattack happen, stop any sort of fourth base from Barracks because he is running dry.
I kind of wish that Barracks was taking 6 o'clock instead of this mineral only. Like, I feel like it's easier to cover. Like, he's allowing such a strong counter opportunity from Snow. He should have either built this CC in the main and floated it over, or just built the CC at the 6 o'clock. I think it's a big mistake from Barracks to keep trying to take this mineral only when he's this committed into a contain. It makes more sense to put the CC further away from a counterattack at 6 o'clock, in my opinion. I could be completely wrong about that, but it just feels like he's donating command centers to Snow. Like, if you're going to take the mineral only, just build the CC in your main and float it over, man.
Yeah, he's got to be feeling a lot of adrenaline at this point. You have to imagine it's really starting to flow now that he's this close to winning a game versus Snow. He is so close right now, guys. I know that the supplies don't really reflect that, but he's just killed center left. He's killed the natural, and this is not a normal map. This is Dominator, where if you're holding that high ground, it is nearly impossible to break out.
Actually, the supplies do kind of reflect that. I mean, Snow was supply blocked to 170. Barracks actually ahead of him in supply right now. There's a bit of an elevator, though, from Snow, trying to set up another a counterattack vector from an elevator at 6 o'clock into the natural third base location from Barracks. He's now starting to mine at that mineral only at long last. That's a much needed influx of minerals. He's got like 2,000 gas banked up and not enough minerals to spend them. So it's great that he finally has this mineral only expansion online, but this counterattack from Snow could be annoying coming into his natural third right now.
Yeah, this counterattack might draw away his attention from the push over towards top center. He's jumping on top of the Reaver shuttle. He gets it. Going after the Reavers, now going to target those down. Snow finally puts his attention back onto these Reavers. He's going to get some amazing Scarabs. Killing off some tanks here and actually making things miserable for Barracks as he tries to make that push work up on the high ground now, just getting in on top of tanks and reinforcing vultures. Some mines are going to go down. Can he drag a mine into the mineral line? No. The majority of this army is going to go down. Looks like he holds the third base for now, but this was pretty cost efficient for Snow.
Yeah, it's good, but it's not good enough. Snow could still lose this game. Like, he's making the right moves, but he needs to like get some massive Storm or Reaver connections onto these SCV lines. He's doing a good job of shaving off some of the tanks of Barracks, but oh, that Scarab does dud out, I think. Massive avoidal there from Barracks, not allowing that Scarab to connect. Takes 4 seconds for that to dud out, and eventually he does 16 kills though so far on this Reaver. Now 17 is starting to churn out the damage. If he gets one good connection on that mineral line at the mineral only, could be so costly for Barracks to sustain that. But I mean, there is a way Barracks just smashes this game still. Like, he's cleaned up the counterattacks. He now needs to go on the full offensive and start to ram it down. Snow has got this rally point set up in the top left, but it's not nearly enough gateways to keep Barracks at bay. He just needs to stabilize back up. There's a massive Scarab connection though, like 5 or so SCVs. Biting the dust, could be losing even more. Barracks starting to collapse on that position. Is Barracks going to start throwing the game now? It looks like he's losing a little bit too much.
Oh my goodness. I mean, this could be a throw. He just needed to kind of lock this down. Pay attention to this push as he was coming up the ramp. He let some tanks go down. He let the Goliath fall as well. He's going after the Reaver. 29 kills. He finally targets it. Are you kidding me? Losing so much to get rid of that. he's actually flipped. The supply is just flipped, Xun. Look at that. It was like 20 supply ahead. Now he's 20 supply behind. That one fight was so bad for Barracks, he might actually lose this game.
Yeah, I think it's definitely some kind of mental block going on from just the fact that he's against Snow. Here comes some speed shuttles as well to put on some counter-offensive down in this natural third location. There are some Goliaths, though, to actually target those down, so he gets both shuttles. Only a couple of Zealots and Dragoons actually coming out, so he shuts down the attack pretty cost-efficiently. Hang on a second. Is Barracks still going to win this game? There are still mistakes from both sides. It's not just Barracks that's making a few blunders here and there. Snow has donated quite a lot of shuttles in this game as well, despite having that like 30 kill Reaver. Might still not be enough to get him out of the woods here.
That was a really smart play from Barracks, rallying some Goliaths over to that location. Ooh. But losing 2 tanks here to these Reaver plays, this is where Snow really does shine in these small engagements with the tiny armies on both sides, just able to get so much value out of these Reavers. Barracks got to be really slow and methodical in how he pushes up onto this high ground, because he has to make it work now with these units. He's running low. Even on his third base now, starting to run low, and he's still sitting here on 1-1. Oh, huge shot there in the middle of all those tanks. One more hit. Oh my goodness, so much value.
But he has finally pulled some of those tanks away from that contained location to hit this base in the top left pocket here. This sort of like natural third all the way over to the side, this natural gas rather. And it does mean that the main base is less well contained now. So maybe Snow can also still get more and more benefit from making shuttles and units there to keep throwing, you know, units out onto the map with those shuttles to do counter damage. But he's taking a lot of blows from Barracks right now, who's just raining down damage onto that natural expansion in the top left, killing the entire probe train. Will he do counter damage though with these Reavers? That's some massive Scarab connections. This is the most of the economy that Barracks has. He's got hardly any more SCVs left on the map. Most of that supply is almost pure army right now. I'm glad he's at least lifting the command center to slow down how long it takes to die. He lost a command center to Reavers recently on the last map. I mean, I hope he doesn't do it again. He's got DTs in a bit of a panic now in the top left, trying to hold on. If Barracks identifies that and scans, he could close out the game right now, though.
Oh my gosh, he kills two tanks immediately. Both of those were super low. And I think there's only one scanner. I think there's only one scanner here.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, my goodness. So much damage. And the Reaver on low ground. Barracks just can't... He can't kill this base. He can't kill this base, and he's going to lose his third. He's going to lose his fourth, excuse me.
Command center. Oh, my gosh. He needs that command center so badly. Oh, he needs more scanners. He can't afford to keep lifting off command centers because he needs to keep the other command center in location to keep scanning. This is such a crazy... That command center is burning down, by the way. If he doesn't repair it, it's actually still going to die.
Oh, it's crazy, Xun. This game is absolutely wild. 135 HP.
Oh gosh.
Barracks, please repair that CC. You can't be. You've got to be kidding me. Oh, he's going for it. He's going for the DT. Oh, he repairs. The DT gets killed. Oh my gosh, Barracks.
This game is crazy.
He keeps it alive. It's unreal. He's still in this.
It's one of the most insane TVPs we've had in a long time, saying, what are we even watching right now? I mean, I think Barracks could still close this game out, but he still could blunder and throw the game. It's possible, but I think he's got just barely enough tools to make it work. Now that he's identified that command center was burning and repaired it, he definitely can win this game. Now, beautiful stuff on the high tempo as well. On those Dragoons outside the natural expansion on the top left. Snow has some more units coming up here, but they're probes. There's actually a probe train that's coming up here right now. He's going to kill all those probes for free. He's trying to get some counter damage at this middle-only expansion with another beautiful Scarab connection. He's got 11 kills on this Reaver thus far. It's a crazy how much damage Snow has been able to do at that mineral-only location. If only somehow Barracks had locked this down sooner, he could have avoided all of this. Oh, massive monstrous Scarab on the tank and SCVs, but Snow taps out. Finally, that was one of the most arduous victories we've seen from a Terran. Head in Barracks' hand. He knew that wasn't supposed to be that hard, but finally getting a little bit of mojo and getting a game off of Snow.
Oh my gosh. Barracks takes the win, but Snow takes his toll in blood, man. Holy cow. I need to go lie down. That was insane.
That was crazy. Most insane games of StarCraft we've had in a long time. Wow, man. Can you imagine like how mentally taxing that was for these guys to play that? Like, you just want to take a nap after that, right?
Yeah, we saw Barracks throw himself forward at the end of that game. He was just so tense, and it was so close to being over again and again on both sides. There was several moments there where Barracks could have lost and where Snow could have lost, but small mistakes here and there and good counterattacks from Snow were keeping him alive for such a long time. It is like a monumental task to just beat Snow in a single game. It is crazy how many times, like, we saw Barracks playing so well for such a long time, but you have to keep it consistent. You have to keep going, and playing perfectly for that long is almost impossible for even the best players in the world.
And that was a Snow pick on Dominator. So winning on Snow's pick is huge for Barracks. Gives him so much momentum going forward. Now, still going to be a tough road ahead of him, but it gives him hope. That was a much needed victory. It was pretty much over if he goes down 3-0 now. Can he turn it all around, get more wins? And we're about to find out the ASL Season 20 semifinals match, game number 4 between Barracks and Snow. Let's get it, guys. The map, it's Knockout.
Barracks, bottom right, Snow, top left, and they're just straight on into the next game. It's crazy. I play a hard game of Brood War. I need to stand up, like walk around the house a couple times, you know, like shake it off, because there's just so much adrenaline pumping when you get a close game like that. I'm sure that they're both feeling it right now, but there's no time to rest. Straight on into the next.
Yeah, StarCraft's such a weird game as well, where like when you start to win, it's like you get even more adrenaline. So it's like hard to remain composed to close out the victory once you start winning, which I think happened to Barracks there a little bit. He got into such a good spot and was so close to beating Snow, and he knew it, and that made it even harder to stay focused and do what he needs to do once that adrenaline is just coursing through your veins like that. It's almost like there's like too much power in your body to contain for these gamers, and just struggling to keep all of that energy under wraps is a challenge in of itself. And yeah, but these guys are like absolute pros. They've played like 14-hour sessions doing back-to-back intense games like that before. It's just doing it on stage when there's so much on the line is just a different beast entirely.
Absolutely. Barracks here, got to be feeling it right now, but he has to stay composed. That's one thing, like, you play a long game like that, it's so intense, and then you're back to making your first Barracks and hitting your timings again. It's like, oh my gosh, really hard to just let that previous game fall out of the back of your head. Just pay it no mind and focus on what you're doing next. And I'm curious what we're going to see here out of Barracks on Knockout. How is he going to approach this map?
It's kind of insane that they're making them just jump straight into the next game like that as well. But I thought we were going to have a little bit of a break, but it is what it is. Yeah, I mean, that's the funny thing is about when you get to like best of sevens, it adds a new facet to the game. Like, it's not just about skill and build orders and blah, blah, blah anymore. Actually, like, conditioning and fatigue actually comes into play a lot more. Like, maybe Snow tires out and he can't quite perform at 100% in like game 6 and 7, right? And the same could happen for Barracks. So there's a totally different facet to StarCraft when you have to go the distance in these really long series.
I feel like that was kind of par for the course for Snow that last game, just dragging it out longer and longer, able to just keep Barracks under pressure and get those counterattacks off. Barracks is the one who's going to really be feeling the fatigue, trying to close that game out after getting a bit of a lead. He's really going to be feeling it here, but just look at Snow all over this SCV. Will not let it make its way to the natural. He's already just about killed it here. 2 more hits, and that's going to go down.
Yeah, I mean, Barracks has done a pretty good job at like doing some manual pathing, but Snow is doing more to catch up. Yes, if he's going to be blocking that Zealot, stopping it getting anything done, though, shaves off enough shields to completely thwart that timing. When you're cross-map like this, it's so hard for the Zealot to do anything. The 3rd Marine is always out in time, and usually you can shut that down pretty handily, and yeah, that just is what it is. And so, I mean, this is okay for Barracks. The fact that it's cross-map and not a Nexus first, it's a small win for him. And this SEV did get a scout off, right? Like, it didn't just die to the probe moving shot, so not terrible for Barracks.
Yeah, not bad at all. And behind this, Snow's going to be taking Nexus after Dragoon, so not getting quite as greedy as last game. Getting this Dragoon out here first, and Barracks also able to get his Vulture out on the map. So he's going to have that threat, that active threat on the map. You cannot just discount that. Sitting here with no bunker, though. No bunker at all.
Pretty risky.
Being a little risky right now. Definitely Snow going to try to punish this as much as he can.
Yeah, I mean, he's trying to abuse the trench, right? Like, he wants to keep forcing the Dragoon into the trench and then try and punish with the Marines on the high ground. And not a bad idea to try and skimp out on having to make 100 minerals worth of bunker phrase, a little bit of time. But it makes sense he eventually has to place that down. Like, there would be eventually a 2nd Dragoon. But with cross-map, I guess you could get away with not making it for a little bit longer, just because of how long it would take for that additional Dragoon to show up. And right now that Dragoon is on Vulture duty, because that Vulture being out on the map, so it kind of allows Barracks to get away with a teeny tiny bit of greed.
He's got his bunker up now, and he's sending something to top right. What?
Wow!
3rd command. Oh wow.
Do you think Flash told him to do that?
I think probably Calm did.
It's more likely, right?
Apparently Calm told him to do BBS. Flash mentioned it, but he didn't say you should do it. He just said it's your choice. But
yeah, Flash said if you want to do it, you should do it. Like, he gave him confidence to go with his game plan, kind of thing, right?
But
whereas
apparently Calm
like,
said, yeah, do it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Calm gave him the idea, and Flash confirmed you should do it if you feel like you should, and gave him the balls to pull the trigger on that. Because I think he was like 50-50 on whether or not he should do it, and Flash helped him be like, yeah, you should do that.
Well, this is balls right here. This is really, really crazy from Barracks, right? So with the hidden CC, if this gets spotted by Snow anytime in the next like 10 minutes, it's gonna be bad. It's gonna be really bad. He's actually transferring SCVs. Oh my gosh.
What a mad lad. I love it. So this is where like there's go on.
He's gonna get the value out of this way faster.
Yeah,
than usual.
The mind spot the shuttle move out, and I was going to say this is where there's a lot more crossover with StarCraft and poker than usual. Because if this works, Barracks looks like a genius. If he scouts it, he looks like a sausage monkey. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's just the kind of nature of the beast, and that's what happens in poker. You know, you do crazy plays in poker, and either works or it doesn't. And it's like, almost like you live in like a state of superposition, where in one reality you're a genius, another reality you're a total silly gamer. But it is what it is.
Gonna get one shot off. Ooh, pretty good split there. Keeps at least one of these Marines alive that otherwise would have went down. And he's got a turret here to defend from. Couple tanks, few vultures. Possibly he could just completely block this, but Snow gonna look for more damage. Is he actually gonna try and push in here? I feel like this is a pretty good defensive position for Barracks. Does Snow sense anything when he sees the number of units here? Does he feel like, you know what, something's missing, and try to, you know, start scouting around the map? It doesn't seem like he's suspicious here just yet.
Yeah, we got a quick Stargate follow-up from Snow as well, and I'm curious to see how he wants to play this out. I mean, he hasn't yet done critical damage with this shuttle and Reaver, so if Barracks can keep avoiding taking too much damage from the Reavers, I feel like he has such a strong chance against Snow, because pretty much all of his games in the past against Snow went bad because he took so much damage to the Reaver harass. So now that he's more or less avoiding disaster every game, this could work out. It's going to be an Arbiter-based play, though, with that Stargate, not carriers. Cross-map carriers would be kind of crazy from Snow, and because of the natural mineral only being in the path of the air of the opponent, it's actually, you know, easier to set up a natural ring of defenses to prevent a recall into the main base. So it makes kind of sense to not go for something like carriers here.
Dun dun. But, there it is. He sees it.
Oh gosh, he sees it.
All right. Well,
yeah.
Barracks probably gonna lose this game. He didn't get enough money out of that to justify the CC being built. Plus, you know, he's sent a bunch of probes over there. This is probably the worst possible situation. Maybe he saves some of these.
Hang on a minute. He's going to save a lot of SCVs, so that's actually not terrible, right? Like, he saves a lot of these SCVs. If he quickly takes another third base, this doesn't necessarily, it's not a good thing, but he finds compensation. You know what I mean? Like, it's not good, but it's not bad necessarily. Like, there's still a way of making this work for Barracks, but please.
Oh my gosh, he's got no scan.
This DT is doing too much. Oh my gosh, this DT is doing so much work right now, Saiyan. Please just get away from the DT. The body block, the body block.
Oh my gosh, 2 more tanks are gonna go down. This is some sick play from Snow. Barracks knew that he was going to bring the Reaver around to try and stop the SCVs from transferring, but he wasn't able to deal with the DT as well. Like, that DT play was so sick. Getting over there and just blocking the tanks from getting back and dealing all that damage. He wasn't able to catch all the SCVs running home, but he did so much work to this army, and now it's going to be really hard to push out and take that third, like you were talking about earlier, Xun.
Yeah, and the CC is going to bend down. Like, if he was like a 400 IQ gamer, he would have sent a single SCV to that 3 o'clock pocket to repair the floating CC on the way back, but no one can really foresee that happening. It's good that he got most of the SCVs back, but the problem is he's lost so many tanks to this DT. He finally has scanners to fight back against that, but he's lost so much tanks in the process. Needs that third base critically. He's got so many SCVs, and now he's oversaturated, which means he's going to mine out even quicker than usual, which is a problem. He needs to take a third base.
Yeah, he's moving forward to take that now. Snow hanging out on the high ground, just waiting for him to come forward and make a little bit of a mistake. Gonna drop the Zealot, bait the shots in from the siege tank, look for some damage. Here comes the Arbiter. Does he have enough scan to keep this push alive? I think he's got scans plus the turret. He should be okay, but he's gonna have a hard time getting up on this high ground, and Snow just has so many tools to dismantle him with.
Yeah, and I mean, Arbiters aren't necessarily like the pinnacle of play. Like, they don't give you the highest possible expected value, but they give you a very strong mid-range of expected value. And if you're in a good position, then Arbiters are great because they're going to make your already good position even better. They're not necessarily like I win buttons, but they certainly do help consolidate your position and give you a lot more utility available for engagements with, like, in the way of stasises as well. I don't think he's going to rely too heavily on recalls this game. I think this is mainly just for the cloak effect and some stasises to make the trades go a little bit his way. And I mean, finally we have the third base from Barracks. So I mean, there's still life in this game for him. I think that's a bit of a waste of stasis, actually. I don't totally agree with that. Unless he attacks now.
Yeah, we'll see if he wants to just go in with it. He's forced out a lot of scans, by the way. He's just been constantly scanning. Eventually, you do run out. And at that moment, there may be an opportunity for Snow to come forward, drag some mines into the tanks with a few zealots. See, he's even adding on the third scanner here. He knows that it's a little bit scary if he can't keep these scans up. And he needs actually a turret up here on high ground as soon as possible.
I think I know why I think he didn't just do the stasis for any other reason than to show Barracks that he has stasis, to make Barracks not know that it's going to be a carrier follow-up. I think this is a double fake out from Snow to be like, yeah, look, I'm going arbiters, I've got stasis, but the reality is that he's going carriers, and I think he did the stasis like that just to show Barracks that he had that spell, to make Barracks even less convinced that there could be a carrier switch.
Wow, that's some forehead play right there for sure. I'm not sure if it was part of the plan to lose the arbiter afterwards as well. Maybe that's the 300 IQ move, but he's gone ahead and lost that. Pretty good snipe from Barracks to go up and just get rid of it immediately. Will he start to sense that something's off here when he doesn't see another arbiter rallying forward to continue this push?
Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, we got a massive probe transfer down to the 5th base now. I mean, Snow will run away with this game. Once those carriers come online and this base in the bottom left gets up undeterred, these 4 bases, while strong, will not be enough to carry Barracks to victory here. He needs a lot more than just a solidified corner of the map. You can't just sit back and make units and hope for the best in these situations. He needs to identify that these carriers are on the way so he can go on the offensive, and he's not doing that. He's just content to sit back for the time being. This is playing into Snow's hands.
Yeah, it's for sure not great. He's taking a 4th base right now, not going out for the attack. Snow just going to sit back and relax, wait for this carrier number to get high enough. But the thing is, we're still on a massive map. Knockout, cross map. He gets the scan. He sees the carrier transition.
Okay.
He knows now. Barracks on 4 bases here. Can he push in and get a kill? Where are the carriers going to go? I guess they're going to come directly down here and defend. Barracks could start to expand once again over to the right-hand side. Start taking bases over there as well.
Yeah, usually cross-map carriers are bad, but in this situation, he can still leverage them vertically and bring them down here to help fight on the ground. But he scanned them pretty early. He kills a Reaver. There's a chance that Barracks can still make this work. And identifying them that early, you can see as soon as he saw them, triggered a push from Barracks, which is the correct play completely. Has he got enough to execute a win condition from this position? I mean, there are some gateways on the high ground. There's not any high Templars to storm those. He's predominantly relying on Zealot, Goon, and Reaver to slow this down. So as long as Barracks splits his tanks, maneuvers carefully and leapfrogs up into this base, there's actually a very strong possibility that Barracks could make this work. The problem is there's a massive counter-attacking force just waiting out on the map. Barracks actually going to try and expand down here. This is really ambitious from him. I like the game plan, but he hasn't got a lot of units to consolidate down there. There's a counterattack coming in from Snow at the 6 o'clock potentially as well, while he's trying to get his toes up onto this ledge now and get some tanks up onto this high ground to knock out this base. It's going to trigger a massive counterattack from Snow. There's only like 3 or so tanks. He's got a lot of units at his rally point though. If only he could bring those rally point units to bear quickly enough, maybe he can slow down this counterattack from Snow and wipe out this base down in the bottom left really quickly. But the carriers finally coming online and going to put the pressure on.
Yeah, I think Snow has recognized that there's just not enough Goliaths here. And so as long as he cuts off the Goliath reinforcement from coming down to bottom left, then he can just kill all the tanks. And so, I mean, these tanks are probably going to kill the Nexus. Yeah, they might get some of the kills on these probes as well. But this whole army is going down. And in the meanwhile, he's also going to attack into 6 o'clock. Snow is probably going to lose that army, actually. Big surround here. Vulture's going to get behind this, and there's no reinforcing units. There's no Reavers. There's no Storm here, so this mech army is just going to rip things apart. Does throw down one D-Matrix just barely before that Science Vessel goes down. Some DTs trying to sneak in here as well, but they're going to get cleaned up pretty easily. In addition, wait, what was that scan? Okay, he throws down a scan there. Not able to see the DT with the scan, but he will drive those Dragoons back into the corner, and that DT going to look for some more kills here at the SCV line. Barracks, is he paying attention?
Oh, I don't know if he is. He's so much action is happening right now. I think he's starting to fall apart a little bit. He's lost too many units to Snow, who's going to start running away with this game at this point. Barracks knows. He does a big sigh right now, blowing out from his cheeks. He knows he's made some critical blunders in this game. He came so close again to finding a favorable game state, and it's just falling apart on him yet again. I don't know. There must be some kind of mental block against Snow, because he certainly could be playing better than this. GG is called. It's more that Snow is playing so good than Barracks playing badly, but definitely Barracks not able to play at 100% of his power level, Sam.
Not getting the rally down to bottom left was the clincher. I thought the push up on the high ground was pretty good, getting up into that bottom left as quickly as he did, getting on top of that base and killing it off, but he needed the Goliath rally to make its way somehow around that map to reinforce those tanks, losing like 8, 9 tanks for pretty much free there. The carriers just come up and clean them all out. That is a little bit too much to handle. And despite Snow, going for a crazy build, like what was that? Reaver into Arbiter into Carrier? Pretty wild. He's just throwing a bunch of units together and calling it a build, but it ends up working here against Barracks.
I think Snow is like genuinely the better player of the two, but I think not only is Barracks contending with a slightly superior player, he's also struggling to get over the previous devastating losses. Like, he had some of the most embarrassing games in previous ASLs against Snow. I still feel like that's playing a major factor in these games. Not only is he against such a potent Protoss versus Terran player, but he's also got such a storied history of getting dominated by him. He's managed to avoid most of the Reaver harass, so he's kind of gotten over the biggest issues, but he's falling flat on executing his win conditions after the fact. Maybe going for a bit of a break now, guys. Run to the bathroom, grab some water, grab some fruit, and we'll be joining you in the next game number 5. Currently a 3-1 advantage for Snow. It's going to be really tough now that Snow is on match point. Don't go anywhere.
All right, guys, it comes down to this. Our next game could be the final match of the night. Snow on match point here. Barracks has been playing a really good set of games. No matter what happens here, Xun, you have to say that this series, way better performance from Barracks than his previous versus Snow. Like, the improvement is definitely visible.
Yeah, he was getting absolutely demolished by just the Reaver harass alone by Snow in those previous series. So he has still come a long way. And honestly, this is a win-win because I think Snow's going to win and go through to the finals and maybe get his long-awaited championship. But also, Barracks, he's been able to get a seed in to the round of 16 in the next ASL. He's done what he set out to do. He finally got through to the semifinals for the first time, and he's improved so much in this matchup and showed that he can have a longer game against Snow in these series and not just get absolutely bullied every time. Still got a lot of the journey ahead of him to improve as a player, but he could go all the way eventually in the future ASL tournaments. Let's see if he can do it now today. The ASL Season 20, game number 5 in the semifinals match between Barracks versus Snow. And the map is Litmus. Let's get it, guys.
Barracks, top right. Snow, bottom right. On Litmus for what could be our final match of the night. And as we do on Match Point, gonna remind you guys about our Patreon page. It's Saiyan Xun Duocast over there on patreon.com/Saiyan Xun Duocast. We really appreciate the support that you guys have been giving us so far, making it worth our while to continue casting this for many, many years in the future.
Yeah, thanks so much to everyone that has supported us. It means the world to us, even if it's not in the way of a Patreon subscription, even just signing up for free or showing some love in the chat. It all means that we can keep doing this and feel motivated to do it for a very long time to come. We've been doing it for a few years now, and we're looking to do it for many more years, and having a few extra bones thrown our way means we can keep diverting a lot of the time and attention to the scene and giving you the very best possible casts that we can muster. And it's been really great fun bringing you guys these ASL seasons from start to finish. This is our second one now, and honestly saying, it's been an absolute blast.
It's been a blast, and it's been a dream come true. We've talked about it enough.
Yeah.
And we're super happy to be here. We're super happy to be doing this for you guys and continuing to do it going forward. And just watching how these players like Barracks develop, man. Barracks has grown so much, and I don't want you guys to feel like we're counting him out here, because we were talking about how, you know, it's already a good achievement to get into the round of 4, that type of thing. It's just Snow is playing so godlike.
Yeah.
It's incredible what he's capable of doing. I honestly feel like he's the best Protoss player in the world right now, just based on how he's handled this series so far.
Quite possibly. And that's the funny thing about it, is like some people might be looking at this series and being like, oh, like Barracks is getting dominated. It's like, no, Snow's just playing that good. Like, it's insane how he's doing what he does. There's a lot of Protoss players that would have died in the situations that Barracks put Snow in, and Snow still managed to smack it down. It's just ridiculous how good this gamer is, and he's going to be clapping his feet on stream before long if he keeps playing like this.
Yeah, he's such a interesting personality as well. I think we saw his kids on screen before as well. Yeah. He is a father, and a new father as well. So he's just got a couple of really young kids, I believe. So, I mean, this guy diverting a ton of his attention away from really important things to make sure that he can put out the best games possible, and it's very much paying off. This could be his season, but he has to get through Barracks here. All he needs to do is get one win out of the next 3 games.
Yeah. I like that he's got this gateway on the ramp as well to like make it a little bit easier to choke up vulture run bys coming from either of the ramps, because you could also, you know, glitch one of these vultures over that mineral patch in the back alleyway. I mean, yeah, I think that we're gonna, even though it's Litmus, I think we're gonna see a pretty orthodox game from both sides. I doubt they'll be making use of that second gas anytime soon. You could do some craziness and go for like a really crazy fast 2 factory build of 2 machine shops with that second gas. It's just not optimal. You can, but it's not necessarily likely. To try and do some damage onto this SCV that's building the bunker. He has got 2 additional SCVs that come and block against these Zealots. Can't get the surface area against the Marines, but gets a couple of shots off on this Vulture. Will he finish that off with the Dragoon? Yes, he does. So, bit of a trade there. Losing a Zealot for a Vulture. Not terrible at all. And definitely kind of worth it from Snow to come in there and try and do that. He's going to maybe catch the SCV at the natural third. He's going to finish that off with the Dragoon, though.
He traded two Zealots for 1 Vulture. I mean, it was close as well. If there had been a quick repair there from Barracks, he might have actually saved that Vulture. It was really, really close. But a good blocking from him to kind of push back those Zealots and make it harder for Snow to get that kill. But he's gonna throw the second Vulture in. I'm not sure I'm a fan of this, Xun.
Yeah, I don't like this. I don't like this personally. I mean, it does scout the Nexus, I guess, but nah, it's not worth it. Even if you kill 2 pros to that Vulture, I don't think it's worth throwing the Vulture away like that. Now there's no mines from that Vulture, and you've lost a lot of your potential power. And just having that Vulture out on the map means that the Dragoons won't be so, you know, aggressive and coming up and forcing a repair bill out of the turn. He has got a second Vulture that slipped out onto the map, though, so maybe this could do a lot more damage, or at least achieve what it needs to do in the way of scouting and laying down mines and what have you. Snow just now checked the back mineral patch to make sure there was no Vultures being glitched. That could then slide into his main base. He has got the Dragoon on this front ramp as well to prevent disaster. But probe transfers coming in just as the Vulture could poke in. I don't think he will commit with the Vulture. He should prioritize laying down mines. But, I mean, this isn't terrible. He hasn't got too much of a repair bill out of Barracks overall.
It's funny, the first Vulture died in the natural. The second Vulture tried to run by, but got caught by Dragoons. And then the third Vulture could have run by. There was no Dragoons there, but he was a little bit scared. That's the thing about... Yeah. That's the poker aspect of...
right.
Of StarCraft once again, right? Like,
ooh,
he could have tried to poke in there. Oh, he loses 1 Dragoon from a mine.
That's huge.
And he's going to try to run by here. Not going to get anything. Maybe 1 probe kill. I mean, that's something. After getting out the mines, it's, I guess, all right. But can he alley-oop this into a attack on the natural? Actually get some damage done here. Looks like the Zealot's going to come out, try to clear the mines. No, he can't get out here in time. The Dragoons on the left-hand side could eat this mine, and oh my gosh, they will. Huge damage there. That's massive. Now Barracks could potentially try to build something out in this front, rally Vultures forward, and try to put on really big pressure. Looks like he's going to turn around and go back home, though.
He should back out, because, I mean, the reality is there's going to be a Reaver popping out any second now. You don't want to stay here and just take damage for free. I think the Reaver's literally just about to pop out of that Robo in like a couple of seconds. It makes total sense to pull back from Barracks, and you got a little bit of damage for free already. He doesn't need to overstay his welcome and be too aggressive. At least wait for more units to come out again.
Yeah, it makes sense. I thought he might try to build a turret there or something, but decides to find another. Yes, he finds another angle here. Couple of Dragoons just kind of sitting off to the side. They haven't a turret or a observer just yet to help get in here and get rid of these mines. And so he's going to try and set up another turret. Barracks locking it in now over here at the natural. He's taking the advantages he earned by catching these Dragoons out early and trying to make it into a big push. Not able to get the Scarab shot off. The Scarab didn't really go off there, and so this Reaver is getting pretty low. Mine, oh, the mine. Whoa. Nice target fire on the mine there. That was so close to a big mine connection that could have shut down this breakout attempt, but he will get through.
Yeah, that mine did kill a Dragoon off to the left flank there as well, but not enough damage so far from Barracks. I mean, he kind of got some compensation for this push, but it wasn't what he was hoping for. He was hoping for a little bit more than that. So Snow will be expanding, taking a third base while going on the counter-offensive now. There is a bit of a turret ring set up, so hopefully this Reaver doesn't find too much damage in the main base. Has got speed though, so could still come in here and clear out a turret and go for it if he wanted to.
That was pretty risky, dropping at that corner. Luckily for him, the mine is just barely out of position. Oh my gosh. If that mine was like another pixel to the south, he would have probably got the connection there with the mine onto the Reaver and the Zealot, but he's not able to get it. One more shot. Ooh, gets one more SCV kill. Not bad. And it looks like Snow's going to slip out here.
So close to getting more SCVs. Like, you only got like 3 or 4 SCVs total, but he softened up a lot of them and the tanks as well. So kind of avoids total disaster there. Did a little bit of damage, not too much, but he has killed that turret. So if he doesn't replace that turret, Snow could come in for round 2 later on in the game. He had a mine like really deep by the supply depots in the top right corner to try and catch out the Reaver landing there, but luckily the Zealot came out first and cleared that. Probe transfer coming into the third base now as well. I mean, this still is a playable game for Barracks. Like, he hasn't taken critical damage from the harassment. It's still good for Snow, but it's not like game ending, right?
No, it's been a theme this entire series, is that Barracks has done a great job of preventing massive damage from the early Reavers of Snow. And that's not an easy task at all. Like, you have to have such perfect unit placement, and we only saw like 1 or 2 hexes off from Barracks with that mine. He would have shut that Reaver down hard if he had that perfectly placed.
Like, if he plays this much better compared to the last best of 7 he had against Snow, if he does that same incremental of improvement in the next ASL against Snow, he could actually beat Snow. I don't necessarily think he's going to win here today. I think that Snow will eventually turn this into either a 4-1 or a 4-2. I still think Barracks could potentially go on a reverse sweep. I just really don't think it's likely. I would love to see him somehow fight back strong here and cause a massive upset. I just don't see it yet. 2 shuttles going to be diving in to the main base as well to do some follow-up damage. He did replace that turret, but with 2 shuttles coming in here, this attack is a lot more potent and could kill a lot more SCVs, but he's actually just going for a Flash-esque style of cleanup and ignore the Reaver in the main base while just going on a full-on attack right now and hope that the rallied units can clean this up. Avoids losing some tanks for free as well, but it does slow down the push, forcing a siege.
Yeah, he forces the siege, and looks like this is going to turn around. He's actually going for it again here after sieging up. He decides to go for the natural. Snow's doing a lot of damage in the main, but a lot of that stuff was very much softened by the mines in that main. Let's see. Oh my gosh, these mine hits are insane, doing so much damage. 2 tanks go down immediately, and he's breaking the natural at the same time. I don't know if this counterattack's going to work, Xun.
Yeah, I'm not so sure. He needs to keep spreading these tanks as well, not to take too many crazy shots with those scarabs like he has been. Oh, he gets another one. He needs to stop clumping his tanks like this, saying it's really costing him games. You see how quickly those tanks are dying when they're that close together. He has a chance at maybe turning this around, but losing tanks like that, certainly not going to allow him to go the distance that he needs to. Goliath actually does kill the shuttle pretty much for free here. Going to be resecuring his natural as well against that counter-attacking force, but he's lost so many tanks because of that poor positioning that I don't think this attack is going to be super successful anymore. And actually, the counter-attack is still going on. Like, he's going to kill another tank.
Yeah, he's going to get one more. Oh my gosh, was that a miss shot?
That was close.
3 HP on that left over. Reaver dropping out here. If he breaks out of this containment, the game's over. Oh my gosh. He dragged the Scarab back with the Vulture and killed his own tank. That's crazy, and he will break out here. I think this game is just about done with 51 supply. I guess there's only 87 here for Snow, but that's critical damage. You can't really come back from 50 supply.
That's pretty crazy. I mean, and the DT here as well. Like, if he doesn't scan instantly, he actually has got a few scans available to him, so he will be able to identify that, but not before losing a tank. And he's already lost so many precious tanks. They're like gold dust right now, and he still keeps giving them away to Snow. Snow going to be pouncing on this last fortification area of Barracks, and I don't think there's going to be enough to hold this. Another beautiful Scarab connection as well from that Reaver. 11 kills now on that, despite being on red HP. And he will be pushing Barracks all the way back to the natural expansion. Unless Snow blunders from this position, this should be a Snow victory. There's just too much tempo on Snow's side. He's going to go on the offensive into the main base with that shuttle. It is on low HP though, so he makes a blunder and goes over a turret and loses it for free. That could be a problem and allow him to come back in the game. But there's no turret that's been repositioned here. So he's going to get inside the main mineral line and force another pull-off of that mineral train. This is so bad for Barracks. He is about to lose this game at this rate.
Yeah, he is so close to going down now. He's going to come in here, but killing probes is just not what you need. Probes are kind of expendable at this point. But yeah. Barracks has to get the kill now. He's at 47 supply. He's below 50. This is so rough.
Gosh. 4 depots are going to go down at once, and like that's just untenable damage. He can't even afford to replace these.
He doesn't even need those supply depots. He's still got 20 open supply. It's crazy, but there it is. GG is called. Snow will go through to the finals. It's what we expected, but
yeah,
just to see it here with my own eyes, it's incredible the level that Snow brings to PvT.
It's crazy how good he is, and he didn't need to rely too heavily on Reaver Micro to get there. Barracks did such a phenomenal job at shutting down that Reaver control, but still, Snow shaking the pen to make sure the ink's running well as he signs his name on the camera. He's a finalist, going to be facing off against either Soma or Bisu, and he could very well be securing his first ever gold star on his chest this tournament. We'll be finding out exactly what happens tomorrow. Man of the hour right now, Snow, feeling great on cloud 9. This is his highest chance ever of getting a gold star. Bisu and Soma certainly less capable of defeating him in a best of 7 than someone like Sulky has been in the past. He knows he can do it this time around, and his family there in support of him.
I know it looks like with the score being 4-1 again that this is another a brutal defeat for Barracks, but I hope that he looks back at these games and just recognizes the improvements that he's made since that last series. He's certainly taken great strides in this matchup, and he got very close in some of these games, man. A couple things go a little bit better in some of these engagements, and he absolutely could have brought this to, you know, an even series once again. He absolutely could have made a comeback, but like constantly getting these siege ups that are so stacked, and I really do think that it's the multitasking of Snow getting in and just dealing damage like crazy, all at the same time looking for these mistakes and capitalizing brilliantly.
Yeah, he does it better than anyone else. It's just the reality of it. This wasn't Barracks playing bad. This was just Snow playing that good. And yeah, if you did a side-by-side comparison between the last series they played in the best of 7 and the previous ASL and compared it to this, actually, Barracks has come a long way. And yes, it's a 4-1 victory for Snow. We kind of expected some kind of dominating performance from him, and he would be the finalist. But Barracks did show a lot of improvement in that early game Reaver harassment and dealing with that. And I actually think that if Barracks keeps improving, the next year or so is going to be huge. That kid's super cute, by the way.
Yeah, he's got his kid up on stage. So cute. Often has his son in his live streams, and I know that he's taken a lot of time away from his family to prepare for this event. He's been focusing so hard in improving this season, and really the way has been cleared thanks to effort. Effort taking out Sulky has given Snow a golden opportunity. He's been able to get this TVP semifinals, and he's made his way into the final match. Will he be going into a PvP or a PvZ for that finals? We're going to find out tomorrow, guys.
Yeah, that's going to be a seriously sick series as well. Soma versus Bisu. I mean, who even knows what's going to happen? There's going to be a lot of people that have slept on Soma and didn't realize that he was going to be in this position in the semifinals to begin with. And now we're going to have the absolute maestro of PvZ Bisu up against him. And Bisu is not choking and making blunders like he did in that previous ASL. He is playing pretty out of his mind compared to that. So that will be a very fun series to cast. Right now, though, Snow just basking in his own glory, as he is now going to be going through to that finals against one of those other gamers. And I think either way, he's going to be happy. He's improved in his PvZ a lot, so he's not too scared of Soma. He's just happy it's not Sulky playing in his form. So I think either way, Snow's going to be happy with either one of those contenders. I guess he would rather it be Bisu. Like, Snow's PvP is just so good that he almost wishes that Bisu would go through, right?
I wonder. It would suck to lose against a Zerg player again. After so many close calls with the ASL, almost getting the title again and again, but Sulky denying him and preventing him from going through. It's been a rough ride for Snow in the past couple of years, but in the past few years, honestly, 3-4 years, he's just been so close so many times. Even going back as far as Flash's last ASL when he got into the finals as well. It's been brutal, but the way is clear. He's got a shot here to finally take it home, and he's going to give it his all. You can bet on that.
Yeah, I think Snow's in really good spirits right now, but he's going to struggle to fight back the emotions if he actually does win in the finals and get that gold star. Like, I have an image of him fighting back tears if he does get that trophy. It's been a long time coming for this guy, and he's kind of had Sulky as a roadblock for so long. And the stars had aligned for him this tournament with Sulky kind of losing the motivation after getting 4 in a row and dropping out after getting knocked down by Barracks and then Effort in his group stage in the round of 16. So this is like everything is coming together for Snow to go all the way now. Like, he's got no excuses. Like, this is his time to shine. He should be getting this tournament under his belt.
Well, on the other side, yes, we have Bisu, but Soma, he's just come back from the military and he's on some incredible form, looking fantastic and scary as hell. If he goes through to the finals, man, that would be insanely hype. No matter what happens, though, a brand new finalist will be crowned this season. No more repeat winners alive here in this ASL. It's just brand new champions here, no matter what happens.
That kid is super cute. The way he like hopped onto the stage like Tigger from Winnie the Pooh. I'm really happy for Snow. He's got like everything right now. He's like potentially the champion of the ASL and has a lovely family to go along with it. I mean, the guy is just on cloud 9, and you got to take your hat off to him.
Absolutely. Guys, it's been an absolute pleasure bringing you this season of ASL in the semifinals. Kind of disappointing that it went another 4-1. I'm sure that Barracks is feeling that, but he should be really proud of his play here today. I think he put Snow through his paces. Some of these games were fantastic. Like that Dominator game was crazy. That was probably one of the best PvTs of the entire season, Xun.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like, he gave a really strong game to us, at least, especially on Dominator. Like, but it is what it is. I mean, Snow's just that good. Like, I don't think it's too surprising to go down 4-1 to him right now. We said already, like, he's come a long way in his versus Protoss matchup, and he's not getting as easily bullied as he did in that previous series. It literally was like someone schooling someone in how to play StarCraft in the previous series. But this time around, actually coming back strong and giving us some close games as well, where he almost took down Snow. A lot of Protoss players would have lost in those games against Barracks with those push timings. It's just that Barracks fumbled the ball a little bit in the final hour, and Snow is just that good with his Reaver control and engagements and how he maneuvers around and isolates his win conditions with cutting off reinforcements and what have you. It's just Snow's that good.
Snow is, I think, even evolving further as we watch, like,
Yeah,
mixing in DTs in a bunch of these games as well. Like,
right.
we didn't comment on it that much, but it's really rare to put DTs in the way that Snow is doing. Sometimes you'll see it like, oh, a desperation play. I'm just going to make some DTs to kind of slow you down as you kill one of my bases or whatever. He was like mixing them in to his army and like getting them in on top of the tanks. Even when he wasn't behind yet, he was slipping them in and you know, forcing scans that were, you know, getting splash damage on these tanks and stuff like that. Just very limited, small investment into DTs, but getting massive value out of them. And that's very hard to do, to have the presence of mind to slip little extra flares in like that when you're being pressured by the Terran player.
No, absolutely. I mean, I'm still proud of Barracks. Like 4-1 doesn't look good on paper, but considering how he played previously against Snow in particular and how he did today, I mean, I still am for him. And this is a win-win scenario. We get to see Snow as a finalist and potentially getting his championship after a long last, but also we see a seed for Barracks. This is his first time ever in the semifinals. So next time around, he will be seeded into that round of 16 and have a easier, smoother tournament run. And maybe he could then, you know, get through to the finals at long last in the next season. Who knows? Maybe Barracks keeps working hard and ends up being the next Flash. It's certainly possible. It might take him a year or two to get there. But if he improves as much as he has compared to his last tournament runs as he has today, there's a strong chance that Barracks could be one of the best Terran contenders.
Yeah, keep your eyes on this guy for sure. Barracks, he's growing like crazy, and he's representing the Terran race. Unfortunately, Terran has gone extinct this season here in the semifinals. There's not going to be a Terran finalist. It'll be either PvP or PvZ, and we're going to find out which match we'll be able to enjoy there tomorrow. Snow versus Bisu will decide that finals.
And if you're watching on YouTube, guys, we cast these live at 7 p.m. Korean Standard Time over at superlive.com/SCTVEN. So if you're able to stay up late in America or get up early in Europe and you're not working that day or whatever, come check us out live. Come and get in the chat. We appreciate all your love and support, no matter what form it takes. And thanks so much to you guys for showing us that love and helping us do what we like to do and continue doing it for many years to come, because I don't plan on going anywhere as long as I've got the time and attention that I can spare for StarCraft. I'm always going to do it, and I'll keep coming back to bring you great casts alongside Saiyan, and I wouldn't have any other caster in the booth with me today. This has been a beautiful ASL.
Couldn't agree more, Xun. And also for the finals, guys, there's usually a different time for the finals cast. So if you haven't been able to come and join the live cast throughout the season so far, keep an eye out for that final cast. The finals might be in a better time slot for you guys, so we'll keep you updated on that. It's generally pretty good for North America. It's like around noon, usually Korean Standard Time, which is afternoon in North America. So it'll be pretty reasonable for some of you guys. So we'll keep you updated on that. Anyways, that's it. We're done. We're going to be going into the second semifinals match tomorrow. We'll see you there.
See you tomorrow, guys.